What's the best cryptid ever?
All right.
You figure somebody
Let's
just
see.
misidentified a pig.
A really wrinkly pig.
Yeah, really wrinkly, like a shark.
There we go.
Pig.
All right, here we go. Here we go. What's up, everybody? We are going to start here soon. All right. Hope y'all like some ASMR with your ghost.
Yes.
Door locked?
Yeah.
All right. Starting up.
By the way, your eyeless ghost did not want
Ah!
to. She's here for you.
All right.
That is not
See.
pleasant at all.
Here, y'all go ahead and scooch in.
Yep. She didn't want to go up
Bring
there.
it up.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Personal.
Yeah, she was hidden because JT lost doll privileges here. And so our set designer, she hid it out back in a cooler. And so I had to ask her, I was like, where is it? And she's like, oh, you can go find it here. And she left it in there with this note with a protection rune drawn on it.
Oh, well. Better safe than sorry,
Yes.
to be honest.
She's, for those of you listening who are wondering what the note said, it said, I will quit. Because JT had a running joke with her about like moving the dolls around, and she hates the dolls, and so that was
That's just common sense.
yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and looking good. Let's go ahead and do it up. All right, y'all are online.
On the internet.
On the internet.
On this fine Thursday morning.
On the fine Thursday.
What's bright and early?
Very hot. Very steamy.
All right. I got my own camera angle now, y'all.
Yeah, if you miss JT seeing his face.
Oh, his cherry face.
Hello.
His own-
All right. Just asked to make sure that everyone can hear us good.
Testing. 1, 2.
Testing.
1, 2. Testing.
Cool. I wish YouTube was like showed audio levels. It does not. It's crazy.
Do better,
But
YouTube. Get
Yeah.
your updates in order.
don't say do better, YouTube. They won't promote our podcast. They
YouTube's
listen
like,
for things
"Bah,
like
you'll
that.
get what you get.
You get what you get.
All
And
right.
you like it.
It was a joke, YouTube.
All right. I think we are good to go. So let's go ahead. We got our cards in. Got our media in. All right, Madison, you about ready to start it up?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, everything's in focus.
I just
Sorry, y'all.
realized
I'm a
I just
one-man
cracked my
team here,
fingers
so
in
I
the
gotta just.
microphone. I'm so sorry to people who don't like that.
Crackety pop.
I'm a one-man team here, so I am just making sure that everything is perfectly set because we're recording, both cameras, good to go. All right, I think I think it's all good. Okay, dope. Yay! All right, thank you so much, Arcadia. She said, "Yes, I can hear y'all." So that's
Thank
all I
you.
needed. I needed to know that one person could hear us, and that means everyone else can hear us. All right.
Maybe she's psychic.
Ooh, she can hear us through the ether.
The ether. All right, let's do it. And I'm
All right,
going to go
let me know when
ahead
I'm good to go.
and record. We are recording, and okay, let's do it. Madison, go ahead and start it up.
Hello and welcome back to season 5 of the Most Haunted.
555.
Yes.
Season 5.
Ding, ding, ding. Season 5
Season 5.
of the Most Haunted City on Earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susi.
And I'm JT.
Yes. He dropped his last name for this season. He is now only JT.
Yes.
He's kind of like Prince or Madonna.
Yes. You can only refer to him now as JT.
The
All
artist formerly
right.
known as JT Timmons.
Yes. And so,
Arcadia says, yes, she can hear us. Georgia Girl 93 said, love you guys.
oh, yay. Very sweet. Very
we love
sweet.
you too.
Yes, for those of you who are watching or listening to this after the fact, we are live streaming these to the public now, like a live TV show, which is super fun, super cool.
Nice.
That doesn't mean Parajunkies won't get their own private live streams, though.
That is true.
They will be getting their own private live streams, but
There'll
yeah.
be more private. No,
Yes.
wait. That doesn't sound right.
Yes. So we have a lot going on this season, so I'll try to keep the announcement short. But first and foremost, really exciting news. We are going to have some very special guests on the show that I'm sure a lot of you will recognize. We're going to have the Ghost Brothers on the show.
Fantastic.
Woo!
That's exciting.
It's super exciting.
I'm lit.
This will probably be like their third or fourth visit to Savannah.
Oh, they
You know,
love it here.
yeah,
They're
they've-
from
they've-
Atlanta, so, you know.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. They love it here. They do an event, and we'll do like a more formal description of what the event is later down the line. But they do an event where basically they curate like the best spooky things to do in Savannah and sell tickets, and you can like come hang out with the Ghost Brothers, get to meet them, do the spooky things. It's really fun. So since they're going to be in town, of course, they contacted us to come do our show, but as well as possibly come be on the podcast. So that's super fun.
I'm actually on the Ghost Brothers episode at Moon River Brewery. So if you watch their Moon River Brewery episode, you'll see me.
Yes, I think one of our Parajunkies was watching the show one time and was like, I see a familiar face on my TV screen. So that's super cool. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. You guys are going to have a lot of fun with them. They're just great people. They've just been absolutely wonderful and so sweet. So I'm excited to have them on the show. Other than that, though, we are kicking off today's episode on a very bizarre note, if you will.
Not our usual fare.
Not our usual fare. We're kicking
Very alien to what we do.
Yes.
Oh, dad jokes.
Oh, God, they're back. Oh, no. But yes, with that, though, we are going to be talking about all of the alien nonsense that has been going on with Congress and the U.S. government in general.
Truly insane, like when it really
Yeah.
comes down to it. And very blasé.
Right?
The reaction to it has been very blasé. And I think, it bespeaks a nation who is just fed up with hearing stuff.
It's true.
It's just like, whatever.
Whatever.
I read Associated Press literally every morning over coffee, and I have not seen anything on AP. Maybe I'm just not looking
I
hard
have
enough.
an AP article for us, so don't worry.
Okay.
You
But-
missed one.
So I missed one.
Yes.
But that's just it. Even if it were, just a lot of nonsense, it's nonsense that's happening in Congress. So it's
Yeah.
news.
Right.
It is news, regardless of whether you believe it or whether it's a fabrication. It is something that is happening, in the chambers. It's an official thing. And again, there's plenty of people who believe that it's some kind of smokescreen. So a lot of people who believe that it's just not true. But ultimately, it's shocking to have this kind of confirmation at that level, at this level.
Right, because prior to that, although we did have that confirmation a few years ago with the NASA, the former NASA employee.
The whistleblowers have been pretty consistent. They've just been
Right.
getting stronger voice. And I think a lot of that has to do with the advent of the internet and with,
Yes.
the ability of people to share these informations. And, there's some amazing podcasts out there by truly earnest people. Check out Ryan Sprague's Into the Skies. Fantastic podcast. But that's the kind of thing that you're like, maybe it's so hard now to control how information comes out or, who's sharing.
Yeah, it's true. And a lot of something that I think we should preface before we get into the episode is a lot of paranormal people are very staunch against.
I've never figured this one out.
Aliens.
It's true. There are two camps. There are UFOs are real, but ghosts are not, or ghosts are real, but UFOs are not. And I'm like, really? These are the lines that we draw.
Same with the cryptids too.
And cryptids are on their own little island.
Yeah.
Going, but we're real too.
Yes, it's true. But I feel like all of them intermingle in a lot of ways, especially paranormal and extraterrestrial, because up until this point, it really has been just basis off of people's experiences, which is very similar to the paranormal, where most of the majority of our evidence and things like that, it's just based off of what people who have created databases of paranormal activity and odd encounters and things like that. Right. So I'm like, who are we to say that there isn't one or the other, and
or that they're intrinsically linked.
Right.
There was a pretty healthy discussion, debate about, and cryptids included, about extra-dimensional constructs and concepts, and that UFOs are in fact dimensional travelers, and and that dimensional traveling can be something that introduces the ability for a spirit to travel to us, through these dimensional things, or why large creatures just seem to disappear or are impossible to find is because they are, in fact, you only spot them as they are in our dimension for a short period of time and they're gone.
Yeah, the interdimensional people are a whole different camp as well, which I don't understand. I'm like, let's all just share our theories. And,
because we might learn something by cross-referencing these experiences and these sensations.
Right. So, with that being said, though, let's read some articles about all of the alien craziness that has gone on in the U.S. the past few months.
All right, I'm lit for it.
Yeah, JT has no idea what we're talking about.
Zero.
So this is very exciting. So we're going to start out with an Associated Press article called UFO Congressional Hearing. Whistleblower says U.S. concealing multi-decade UFO program. Which, now this is a topic that specifically has been brought up for a few years now. This really started with that NASA employee basically saying, like, we have had contact with extraterrestrial entities and beings and all that jazz. Also, we have had a whole program to study, yada, yada, yada. You'll hear about it. So, the U.S. is concealing a long-standing program that retrieves and reverses engineers' unidentified flying objects. A former Air Force intelligence officer testified Wednesday to Congress. The Pentagon has denied his claims. Mm-hmm. But that's also the Pentagon, so of course they're going to do that. I mean, it's like, they're not going to just be like, yeah, you're right, we did do that.
You got us.
You got us. You caught us in the lie. But anyways... Retired Major David Grush, highly anticipated testimony before a House Oversight Subcommittee was Congress's last foray into the world of UAPs, the unidentified aerial phenomenon, which is the official term the U.S. government uses instead of UFOs, because they don't want to seem like tin hat sort of people.
Because UAP sounds so much better than UFO.
Right, exactly. But that's another big thing is why this is so exciting to hear about, is because these same people have always been calling people who did believe in aliens and UFOs and things like that absolutely crazy people. Like the tin hat people.
Gaslighting 101.
Exactly.
Gaslighting?
I love that. That's such hashtag gaslighting. That's a perfect term. Make that go viral. We're about to...
Did you create that, Chris?
Yes.
Wow.
Can you tell he does improv?
He's genius.
Anyways, so while the study of mysterious aircraft or objects often evokes talk of aliens and little green men, Democrats and Republicans in recent years have pushed for more research as a national security matter due to concerns that sightings observed by pilots may be tied to U.S. adversaries, excuse me. Is early, y'all. Anyways, Grush said he was asked in 2019 by the head of a government task force on UAPs to identify all high classified programs relating to the task force's mission. At the time, Grush was detailed to the National Reconnaissance Office, the agency
Reconnaissance?
Reconnaissance?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never seen that word in my life. Reconnaissance.
It's an exciting word.
That is an exciting word.
She's not a military person.
I'm not. I'm not a military person. Y'all are both, actually. He's family and military. You were military. So correct me if I'm wrong. Honestly, Chris, you should be reading these. Anyways.
It's all good.
The agency that operates U.S. spy satellites. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program to which I was denied access, he said. And he was a general.
Ooh.
So that's a weird flex. Asked whether the U.S. government had information about extraterrestrial life, Grush said the U.S. likely has been aware of non-human activity since the 1930s.
Uh-oh.
The Pentagon has denied Grush's claims of a cover-up. In a statement, Defense Department spokeswoman Sue Gao said investigators have not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession of reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. That the statement did not address UFOs that are not suspected of being extraterrestrial objects. Grush says he became a government whistleblower after his discovery and has faced retaliation for coming forward. He declined to be more specific about the retaliatory tactics, citing an ongoing investigation. It was very brutal and very unfortunate, some of the tactics they have used to hurt me, both professionally and personally, he said. Representative Glenn Grothman, R-Wise, chaired the panel's hearing and joked to a packed audience, "Welcome to the most exciting subcommittee in Congress this week."
You could be at the economics, reform.
It's true. It's true. There was bipartisan interest in Grush's claims and a more sober tone than other recent hearings featuring whistleblowers celebrated by Republicans and criticized by Democrats. Lawmakers in both parties asked Grush about his study of UFOs and the consequences he faced and how they could find out more about the government's UAP programs. I take it that you're arguing that what we need is real transparency and reporting systems so we can get some clarity on what's going on out there, said Representative Jamie Raskin. Some lawmakers criticized the Pentagon for not providing more details in a classified briefing or releasing images that could be shown to the public. In previous hearings, Pentagon officials showed a video taken from an F-18 military plane.
Yep, I remember. Yes, I remember seeing that video.
That was literally the most casual reveal that aliens exist I've ever witnessed in my life. They were like, "Oh, by the way, aliens exist. I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, but like, here you go."
Yeah.
And it's like,
As long as you're all sitting going crazy in your house.
yeah, just add to your existential dread a little bit more, and here you go.
It was that black and white video, and then there's something there, and they're locked onto, and all of a sudden it goes like zoop.
Did you see the one where the ship goes diving into the ocean?
Yes.
That was
I
taken
did.
off of like
no, I haven't.
It was either off of a battleship or an aircraft carrier. They literally had footage of this thing like shooting straight into the water, and it was just like, what was that? Everybody on the whoa. Did you see that? Yeah.
Well, and that's an interesting point to bring up as well. Of like people for decades now have had videos of these crazy things that look exactly like these videos that the government are posting, and they're like, there's no way that's not a UFO. Like, what was the video we watched a few nights ago, Jay, of somebody in their backyard and you could see the triangles moving in different formations and stuff.
Yes. It wasn't like it was a police officer. It was a body cam.
That's what it was. It was the Axon body cam footage.
It was the Axon body cam footage, and the police officer responds to a call where someone's like, there's something in my backyard, like a creature, or an alien in the backyard, and they have footage of it. Like moving in the backyard, literally. And it's like on two legs or something.
Yes.
Oh, and it you could see it under the fence.
Yes.
Yes, you could see it's like foot move under the fence.
Yes.
It was super creepy.
Well,
creepy.
With the advent of the kinds of security cameras everybody has on their houses, the door
right.
cameras, all these things, it's like it only makes sense that our awareness is going to become larger and larger, which brings about a new question of, are they just trying to prep us and prepare us for this onslaught of footage that people are going to be having, or backlogging and saying, okay, there's a lot of people who have been able to capture strange things now, because you got to realize that having a very high quality video camera used to be unattainable to most, regular people. They, you might have a camcorder, but you don't have, your DSLR, great cameras. But now they're commonplace. Our phones have better cameras on them than most of us had for the majority of our lives.
It's true.
I can see where it's like we're going to have to get ahead of how this information is getting to people.
Well, and it's interesting because all these people were posting their videos and their photos and all these really interesting and compelling pieces of evidence, but nobody believed them until the second the government gets like this foggy video of something, and they're like, well, that's it.
Well, the government says so. It must be true.
Exactly. But I just find that interesting, and I just will never forget how casual that is. And I just wonder, like 100 years from now when we're like, it's like commonplace,
right? We're fully integrated with aliens. It's remember when we used to pretend you didn't exist?
Right. I think about, when I'm elderly and like the young folks are like, so what was it like when they first told you about aliens? And I'm like, oh, it was a regular Tuesday during 2020 when everything was going to hell in a handbasket. But you know what? They told us there were aliens.
Did you just put tinfoil on your head?
So, hear me out. It's cinefoil. So it's black. Does it have to be silver?
It's a good question.
Does tinfoil have to be
I always
silver?
thought it was the reflective properties of tinfoil.
Yeah.
Not the absorption qualities of tinfoil. So you might be
it's a new theory.
Now. You might be pulling.
I'm an antenna now?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Our views would go up, so I'm about it.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, if you start thinking thoughts that seem foreign to you, let us know.
So, and that's an interesting topic we should bring up as well of there have been multiple things in my life that people are like, that was an alien abduction. And I'm just like, you're crazy.
You have the being that came to your window.
Yes.
When you were a child.
So when that went on TikTok, everybody on alien TikTok went wild with that one because they're like, that was this blah, 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 blah.
And it's a very classic. Yeah, I was going to say, a very classic story that most abductees have similar stories. So, yeah.
And I have liked to compartmentalize that experience into the back of my brain because that is horrifying to me. But the weirdest thing was that always the part that people just, really honed in on is I have these 2 scars on my ankles that look little incision marks, and I have no idea where they came from. And I got them as a child. And I just woke up one day and they were there. And I'm like, I've never thought much of it until I told people who were into the alien type theory and stuff. And they're like, oh, that's classic,
abduction.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to pretend like I didn't tell you that. And I'm never
going to bring it up again
because I don't want to think about that.
For those of you who don't know, Madison and I are married. And so when we cuddle, I put my ear on her stomach and I hear, and it's most likely
the alien.
Something growing inside you.
Do you not understand how digestion works?
Yeah, right? Right.
It's real loud. It's real loud.
That just means she's hungry.
Yeah.
Feed the wife.
Yeah, I require snacks.
Snacks.
Yes. But anyways, back onto the F-18 military plane.
She's pissed off.
So, anyways, the Pentagon officials showed a video taken from an F-18 military plane that showed an image of one balloon-like shape. Pentagon officials in December said that they had received several hundreds of new reports since launching a renewed effort to investigate reports of UFOs. I wonder why. Because it's been around for decades. And,
right.
But anyways, at that point, we have not seen anything, and we're still very early on. That would lead us to believe that any of the objects that we have seen are of alien origin, said Ronald Moultrie, the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, an unauthorized system in our airspace we deem as a threat to safety. Wow. Okay, so that's the end of the AP article. So that's a lot to take in. That's a lot to unpack because those are really high-ranking officials, basically.
Oh yeah, yeah. Once
dancing
they're
around.
having to make these statements, even if it's a statement of denial or it's a that means it has reached a critical point of the information bearing down on the public.
Right.
And there's so many things, there was a while, and I don't even know if it's still going on. I do not really follow UFO news per se. I'm always interested. I'm not
that's extremely surprising that you don't follow UFO news.
I mean,
I dabble as well.
I was going to say I don't think that I'm out of touch with it, but I also don't follow it very closely. But I do remember that Mexico City, for the longest time, had daily UFO sightings of dozens, if not hundreds, of ships above Mexico City. They had video. Their version of 60 Minutes covered it regularly. I think they made it like a regular check-in.
I remember this.
Because it was this huge deal, and
Nobody
nobody would
talked
do anything. No one would elaborate. No one would go there. No one would send up a scientific thing. And the people were like literally begging for answers. What is this swarm of strange objects in the sky? And it was like in daylight. And there's lots of video footage. If you go online and look up, the Mexico City UFOs phenomenon. And it was one of those things where it's like, well, I guess it's nothing if no one's doing anything about it. I guess maybe it's a prank. Maybe it's some kind of weird.
That's a really elaborate prank.
But it's an elaborate prank. And it got the attention of this entire country going, what's going on? But they couldn't get any answers.
Weird. I mean, look at the entire state of like Nevada and Arizona and like that whole region. I don't know what it is about desert-like areas.
Sure.
But for some reason, it's just like a beaconing light to extraterrestrial type activity and paranormal in general. So that also interconnects us as well.
It also doesn't help that we have lots of programs.
That's true.
that live in that classified universe where it's like because the big push of UFO sightings came after World War II, and there is a lot of discussion of whether or not what we were really looking at was experimental aircraft, because this was a time when aircraft were becoming supersonic, and we were getting these things. And unfortunately, it was also a time when we had a lot of German scientists that were given a deal to come out of their prisoner status,
right?
To work for the United States. And so, if you ever look up this is a very interesting side note: is that the German scientists, the aerodynamics that they were coming up with, defies our understanding of physics. They were using a different physics than we were. We use I guess a Newtonian physics, and they were using a different set of protocols, allowing them to create ships that changed direction very quickly. And this is all the story is that there is the physics that we accept as reality isn't the only physics that is available or even calculable. We just doubled down on the math on one end of physics, and so there's another end of physics that suggests we could travel, vast distances very fast. We could do these things. We just reject that physics for whatever reason, probably because it's hard to monetize, or something to that effect. But I do find it interesting because now we're talking about, well, maybe the government just had really amazing and advanced aircraft. Maybe they were doing this incredible program, and those aircraft, so the desert makes sense.
It does make sense.
That's where the government would test these things. I mean, that's where we, set off atom bombs. It's where, so testing, aircraft that defy what we understand as, aerodynamics makes sense. However, there's also the story that we've reverse engineered from spaceships everything. And somebody once brought up, it's like, if you look at how the leaps and bounds of computer science goes, could it be possible that we are reverse engineering technology so that, because it's insane how quickly computers have become the centerpiece of our communications, the centerpiece of our, computing. So there's a lot of questions about, where is the advancement of humanity? Does it solely lie on human effort and human gain, which of course makes perfect sense,
right?
Or do we have help? Are we getting help from another intelligence,
right? Which would make sense. And the existence of the other intelligence actually is a good point to bring up next, which is another article with a very casual just announcement of something that I'm like, why is this so nonchalant?
Blase.
Let's talk about an article from NPR.
Oh boy! Wait, real quick before
Yes.
we do, I wanted to say a quick congrats to Parajunkie Lorenzo.
Oh yes, yes,
Oh,
Tell him what happened,
yes.
Ember.
baby Ember.
We welcomed a new Parajunkie Ember to the world, which is really, really cool. Also wanted to welcome everyone to the live stream. Kelly, Alex, Jess, Air Bear, Nikki, and also Chris's wife Megan is watching.
Yay! Hello, Megan.
Cool. And also, just one quick thing, Madison's earrings are super cool, and I wanted to just...
Oh, thank you.
They're
Thank
like
you.
the best earrings ever.
Spoopy cookies.
Spooky cookies.
Yes, you can get them on Etsy.
I just want to eat them. All right, let's
I
continue.
do too. And also, Debria, I want you to look back in that while Chris is talking. This is just a very hard side tangent. I felt a very distinct hand brush the back of my hair, and I think it's Miss Doll back here.
Don't want to look at it. Not looking.
So,
Not looking.
just hard tangent. Debria, go back and look through that footage and see if you see anything, because I felt that and it shook me. But these two dolls are new to the set, obviously. This is Chris's doll that has no eyes.
Here, Chris, move over to the... yeah, there you go.
She didn't want to get
She has no eyes.
She did not want to get hung up on
right, there you
on the wall today. But this is my new doll that I just found at the thrift store. And she's horrifying. I immediately sensed that she was haunted, so of course she was mine.
For all the people listening on Spotify and Apple and all that, explain what
She's a
the doll
Raggedy
looks like.
Ann doll.
Raggedy Ann doll.
It's like a homemade Raggedy Ann doll. She's
Yeah,
not
she's
not
pretty.
an actual Raggedy Ann doll. She's I'm going to make a avatar of evil Raggedy Ann doll.
And I'm pretty sure she's the one that touched my hair, so that's fun. So yeah.
Excellent.
Anyways, side tangent. Just Debria look for spooky things that happened while Chris was talking. But yes.
And Debria, it's right behind you.
Oh no.
She has to edit in this
She
room.
has to edit in this room.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that she has to edit right here.
Anyways, so crazy things also happened. So this article's only from July 27th of this year.
Oh wow.
So
Like 2 weeks ago.
literally 2 weeks ago, U.S. recovered non-human biologics from UFO crash sites, former Intel official says. What?
What a very, very hands-off way to say we got aliens.
Right. We found dead aliens.
Biologics. It was a non-human biologic from a crash site. No. It's like, well, do you mean like a rock?
Right.
No, it's biological, not a rock. Well,
Like an organ, a limb, like
And
non-human.
who
Is it
said
a
and who
lizard?
said that again? The government?
yes, a former Intel official. So somebody who worked for the government literally said that they found this.
Yeah, they refer
Nice.
to pilots as non-human pilots.
Right.
They were like, yes, these craft are piloted by non-human pilots. I'm like,
What?
that's super casual. I'm
Like-
sorry, go back and say that again, but put a little emphasis on the fact that they're not human. You
Right.
got monkeys flying these things? What's going on?
Literally. Well, and so that's the thing.
If this live stream like cuts off out of nowhere, we
Oh,
know
yeah.
why.
Right.
We know why.
Well, it's
Well,
so
your tinfoil should save us.
right.
It will.
Your cinefoil.
Cinefoil.
The yeah, it's just this article baffled me because I only pulled articles from very reputable sources.
right,
so it's
absolutely.
like I'm like, this is insane.
Right.
I'm like,
it
how
should
are
be
you?
mind-blowing. It should be like, hey, everybody,
Right.
this is the conversation on the table.
Right. And I'm just like, why are the government is just so casually dancing around these questions of being like,
Well, I guess
yes,
they have that wonderful
they-
phrase, that plausible deniability kind of sensation.
Right.
That's simply not true. I don't know what you're talking about.
they're like, yes, that did happen, but we're not going to call it that. And I'm just like, just call it what it is. It's an alien.
Right,
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's just be mind blown for a second
Right.
and just.
Or are you
No,
referring
they-
to like a pet carrier or something?
Yeah.
Right.
They don't want people like freaking out. That's exactly what it
Nobody's
is.
talking
Like,
about it though. That's the crazy thing.
Well,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
that's the interesting thing is their concept of the public finding out and it just causing havoc and mayhem. The public found out and they're like, oh, there's a sale at Aldi's. There's nothing altered in this bombshell revelation of alien life piloting ships or being in crash sites. Most people were like, meh.
Literally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're like,
Have you seen the cost of living these days?
take me out of here.
Yeah.
That's
Take
lit-
me
I feel like that's the general consensus. But
Oh,
anyways,
Alex Machado said that it's Annabelle's sister behind you.
Yeah.
it's cute. Cute. Love that. Actually, one of our Parajunkies, Radar, named
Yeah.
her Isabel.
Isabel.
So,
Isabel.
Izzy. All right. Then
Yeah.
it's Isabel. I like
Yeah.
it.
So I was like, cool. Yeah, she, the Parajunkies, when I posted that I bought her, they're like, this is the weirdest instance I've ever seen. Madison buying
side
a haunted
note.
doll.
Yeah.
Have you seen what happened to Hawaii?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That devastation.
No, I know.
Very, very.
Hearts out to Hawaii, but
Yeah.
Right.
Seriously.
Yes, that's an absolutely mind-blowing thing. JT and I have been following that very closely just because it's absolutely devastating.
I know.
you
For
were
the,
just there. What did
yeah,
you
we were
do?
just
I
there.
know.
I know, right? No, seriously.
I know. We pissed off Pele.
Yeah, that's
Like,
right.
Well, we didn't go to Maui.
We did not go
We
to
didn't go to
Maui,
Maui,
but
but yeah, we just did a whole series on Hawaii. So we went there and saw everything, and it's just
so
sad
sad.
that all that's happening.
It is. It's such a beautiful state. It really is, and it's just really sad that all of that is just getting burned and all.
Yeah.
Of it. Ugh. But yes, other things that make you quiver. 3 military veterans testified in Congress, highly anticipated hearing on UFOs Wednesday, including a former Air Force intelligence officer who claimed the U.S. government has operated a secret multi-decade reverse engineering program. So this is even more people who are coming forward who
Right.
worked for the government in some capacity, mostly military intelligence, who are saying like, yeah, that happened, anyways.
Okay, so just side note,
Yes.
my wife believes that birds, like there are some birds that aren't real, like pigeons, and so I just wanted to let y'all know that she's really like into this.
Listen,
She's really into
I'm
this.
not okay. Before my reputation is trash, I love the birds aren't real movement. I think it's so funny.
Movement. It's a movement.
It is. It's so funny, and I do joke a lot. I'm like, that's not a real bird. It's not a real bird. It's a government spy. Yada yada yada. But a lot of it is coming from a joking place. So don't go out here thinking that I'm absolutely bat crap crazy. It's like. Anyways,
The Earth is round, right?
I guess I'm not a flat earther. JT's trying to ruin me in this episode.
No, I'm not.
Just putting it out there. I no judgment. Just
The Earth is round.
the Earth is round.
Pigeons may or may not be real, but
There,
it's like
no. Every time we see a pigeon, every time she's like she doesn't hunt. She doesn't hunt, but I'm telling you right now, she'd kill a pigeon. She.
JT's trying to ruin me. Anyways, so he also said the U.S. has recovered non-human biologics from alleged crash sites. But while the topic of little green men, which they're trying to de-escalate the seriousness
Right.
of this conversation by being like little
Yeah.
green men, and it's like you just said
That's
that
derogatory.
it is. It's
They're
derogatory.
average height.
They are, and they
Yeah.
are not green. They're gray. Well, that's just one type of.
I guess the reptilians might be
aliens.
green. In any case,
Well,
back to the
Well,
story.
if you really want to get into that, then the reptile movement, the people who think reptile people are real, oof, that's a whole different conversation.
It's very strange.
Anyways, so did come up. Much of the discussion centered around on improving processes for reporting unidentified aerial phenomenon or UAPs, the military's term for UFOs, as we talked about. An aerial phenomenon does account for sightings in both air and water. So
Okay.
there are also calls to remove the stigma for aviators who report UAP sightings and to ensure oversight of government programs that investigate them. So retired Major David Grush, who went from being part of the Pentagon's, so the David Grush guy that we talked about, he was a major for the Pentagon.
Oh, wow.
So, and he's the one who's like the spearhead for this.
Well, and I read recently that they leaked his psychological profile.
Oh my God.
They leaked his medical history, and he suffers from PTSD. He's had suicidal ideations and things of that nature, which are common with veterans and of that nature. But it feels like this way, if he shows up dead, they've leaked this information out, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but that just smacks of, and that's full conspiracy theory. That is not anything
We're becoming a
that I can do.
conspiracy
But
podcast.
I know, right?
But I can honestly say that as a storyteller, as a writer, I look at that and I say that makes perfect sense. You're like, we've got to stop this guy. First, we have to discredit him by saying that he's crazy, and then if by some chance he meets with an accident, you can say, well, look at his psychological profile that was leaked, that was put out to the public, so that everybody's like, oh yeah, of course, we knew that this was coming.
Oh boy.
Well, so that's the thing. In the last article, he literally said what the retaliation that he has received from the government for talking about this has been cruel. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That-
No, it reads like a spy thriller.
It really does. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, we will keep an eye on that for you.
But by
in our
saying that out
conspiracy
loud,
segment.
it will have to make them pivot in their,
Right.
If you bring it up in public, they're like, oh, they're on to us, quick.
They're on to us.
We're gonna have to figure out something else to do.
So he became a whistleblower and told the House Oversight Committee's National Security Subcommittee that he had been denied access to some government UFO programs, but that he knows the exact locations of UAPs in the U.S. possession.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Area 51, anyone? Area 51,
Right?
Area 51, hello, anyone? Hello.
Area 51's being real quiet these days. Anyway. Anyways.
Wait, they're always real quiet.
But they're being extra quiet.
Being extra quiet. You don't see a bunch of zennials charging the gates anymore.
That's true. So in response to public interest and political pressure, federal and military agencies have shared a trove of information about unexplained aircraft encounters, but many sightings have been found to be pedestrian origin, from weather balloons to drones, airborne trash, and birds. On Wednesday, Defense Department spokeswoman Susan Gao issued a statement saying the Pentagon's inquiries had not turned up any verifiable information of substantiating claims and all of that jazz that we talked about in the Associated Press report. Now, Grush has also alleged that the U.S. has retrieved non-human biological matter from the pilots of the crafts.
That's the one that gets me.
Pilots.
If the pilots are non-human,
The pilots of the craft, Debria, make that big and bold. It's like, they just called them pilots. I'm like, what, a rock is flying the plane?
very, very smart puppies.
Very smart puppies from outer space. Or it's the killer
I've
clowns
seen
from
some.
outer space. Ooh, wouldn't that be cool? If
That would be great.
if
Bum, bum, bum. We just started hearing that.
Yeah, literally one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yes.
Seriously, it's excellent. If you haven't seen that,
It's
you need.
fantastic. It's
If
cult
everybody-
classic. I hope they don't revisit it.
I hope
To
they
be
don't
honest,
leave it
because I
alone.
could see them mucking with it and being like,
I agree.
Here we go. It's the return of the killer clowns from outer space. And you're like, no, leave it alone.
I'm going to turn them all to cotton candy if they touch it.
Oh, cotton candy.
Anyway.
So that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge of the UAP program I talked to that are currently still on the program. So literally people still on the program are saying that they found the bodies of the pilots.
Weird.
While he refrained from sharing any further information in the public hearing, Grush offered to disclose details behind closed doors. Because he does want to turn up dead. Anyways.
Well, also, telling the public the locations of top secret installations, not a great idea.
Not a good idea. You're right.
Idea. Now, we've learned that the public does have an unhealthy ability to endanger itself.
Right. So Grush said he hasn't personally seen any alien vehicles or alien bodies, and that his opinions are based on the accounts of over 40 witnesses he's interviewed over 4 years in his role with the UAP task force. My testimony is based on information I have been given by individuals with a long-standing track record of legitimacy and service to this country, many of whom also shared compelling evidence in the form of photography, official documentation, and classified oral testimony. Grush said, adding that the trove of evidence has been intentionally kept secret from Congress. Several times during the hearing, Grush deflected lawmakers' questions, saying that he could only elaborate in a SCIF, a sensitive compartmented information facility. Those instances include when he was asked if the government has had any contact with aliens and whether anyone has been murdered to cover up information about extraterrestrial technology. Grush said he couldn't comment.
Ooh.
Which is a pretty bold comment.
Yeah.
And mind you, this is NPR. This is not some
This is the Inquirer.
Yeah.
The Inquirer would have been like, David Grush impregnated alien.
Literally. It's so true.
Alien gave birth to Bat Boy.
It's so true. So the former intelligence officer also told the panel that he and several other colleagues have been the targets of administrative terrorism and that he has at times feared for his life since coming forward. It was very brutal and very unfortunate. Some of the tactics they have used to hurt me both professionally and personally, he said, adding that there is currently an open investigation into the matter.
Oh.
So the UAP sightings are not rare or isolated. The subcommittee has also heard testimony from former Navy fighter pilot Ryan Graves and retired commander David Fravor about their alleged encounters with aircraft of an unexplained origin. Graves recounted an incident with a flying object off the coast of Virginia Beach in 2014 while flying an F-18. He said he came upon an aircraft that looked like a dark gray or black cube inside of a clear sphere.
Whoa.
Whoa. I know, right? That's why I said this article absolutely blown, like literally blew my mind. It's absolutely insane. So that he estimated to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter and unlike any aircraft he has ever seen. Grave claimed that the UAP could remain stationary despite hurricane force winds.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Isn't that insane?
Well, I'm sitting here just trying to come up with like
logic
with a cube inside of a clear sphere. And I was like, a balloon makes sense in a way.
Sure.
I could see it maybe being, but
15 feet in diameter? It's
but
like
also
a cube
holding up against wind at all of any type.
It has to have like thrusters like on a cruise ship,
right?
Like maybe like all around it to where it can compensate.
Probably using a propulsion that we don't understand, so you know it's not affected by
Wow,
it's wild.
Air.
So
because it's obviously not using the aerodynamics that we understand to fly because it's not a shape that uses
aerodynamic. Like noses and bird-like features and things like that. But anyways, so he told lawmakers that his squadron submitted a safety report at the time, but he received no official acknowledgement of the incident. Sounded like somebody was like, we're not going to talk about that.
We've got a special file for that.
Yep, that's the trash can, the shredder. And so, according to the former pilot, UAP encounters in that region were not rare or isolated. Graves has since founded Americans for Safe Aerospace, a group that supports aviators who have reported UAPs. He stated that the objects are reportedly being seen by military and commercial pilots, are performing maneuvers that are unexplainable due to our current understanding of our technology and our capabilities as a country. He added, if everyone could see the sensor and video data I have witnessed, our national conservation would change.
Wow.
Yeah. I believe that.
And then retired Navy Commander David Fravor offered the panel his own eerie account of a UAP encounter that was captured on a video in 2004. The Pentagon released the video to the public in 2020. And so Fravor described being flabbergasted when he and 3 other service members saw a white tic-tac shaped flying object emerge over the San Diego coast in California. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any visible flight control surfaces like wings, he said of the UAP. As he and the other pilots tried to get closer to the mysterious craft, it rapidly accelerated and disappeared right in front of our aircraft, leaving no leaving no detectable turbulence.
Whoa.
The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had. From a government commander. Fravor said, I'm not a UFO fanatic, but what we saw with 4 sets of eyes, we have nothing close to it. It was incredible technology.
Goodness gracious.
So, with that being said,
Yeah.
case closed. Aliens exist. That's it.
All right. I was actually gonna end out this episode with asking you, do y'all think that aliens exist?
I have always been a proponent of aliens.
Absolutely.
Of alien technology, of aliens, of, extra dimensional, extra, terrestrial, and only because of the overwhelming information, eyewitness accounts, photographic evidence, Now, I do not blanketly believe all of it, but I will never just flat out deny, because there's just so much, out there.
Yeah.
That and I have seen 3 times in my life aerial phenomenon that I could not explain. I was not quick to say that's a spaceship or that's a UFO, in regards to like alien life, but I know that there's plenty of things in the sky that we just don't understand and don't know.
Right.
And when we look up and we see something that we can't explain, my knee-jerk reaction is not to dismiss it. My knee-jerk reaction is to catalog it as possible, in the realm of possibility.
Also, a weird buzzing and ringing noise just occurred in the room.
Strange. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I've never heard that in my life.
It's still going.
I know.
I've never heard it in this room ever.
I think I have enough compression where they don't hear it, and I don't know if the government knows that.
Yeah.
But weird.
Well, anyways, but yeah. Well, so like I'll leave it out with this last theory that I heard that actually will appease the interdimensional lovers and theorists. I heard this fun theory that aliens were just evolved humans.
Oh yeah.
So like the reason why their brains are bigger is because our brains had to evolve to input all the information that we are constantly consuming. And also the reason why they tend to have a hunch is because we are always on our phones or we're hunched onto a computer and things like that. And then we've also evolved because of our environmental changes. Our skin starts to change. The coloration of our skin starts to change to basically be able to absorb all the intense sun radiation that we're constantly absorbing because of the environmental issues.
Right, because of the depletion of our ozone layer.
Exactly. And so people think that these are just humans that are in the future that are crossing through.
Whoa.
And so I'll leave you pondering on that.
So does that mean that we're aliens to primates?
It would be the same kind of concept if we went back to to
Stone
medieval
Ages.
times.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yes.
So
All
I'll
right.
leave you on that theory, but super compelling information. Absolutely fascinating. Please
Yes.
continue following it because I don't know why more people aren't talking about it personally.
For sure. For sure.
Anyways,
All right. So for all of y'all joining us for the live stream, we're about to just hop into the next episode. So stick with us. And we're going to be doing Ghostmail, which is
Ghostmail.
going to be
guys,
fun.
smile. But
Yeah.
yes, with that though, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susi. And you're here.
Oh, no, but I never ended out.
Well, I didn't know if you.
I never ended out. I never
got a
ended
camera
out.
You've
now.
got a camera now.
And I'm JT Timmons.
And stay spooky, y'all.
All right.
Cinefoil.
So let's go ahead and just jump on into
Okay,
it.
let me get those pulled up.
Yep. All right. We got a bunch of people join us. I can take my aluminum foil off. And yes, Chris can eat a sandwich. Madison, you got the ghost mails?
I'm getting it pulled up right
Cool,
now.
cool. All right. We're still live. We're still chilling. We're about to jump into the next episode. Y'all stick with us. Chris is going to slam a sandwich. Oh, yeah. Going to talk about some ghosty ghosts. How many stories do we have? 3. All right. We got 3 ghost mails. We're going to read 3 stories, and we're going to discuss them and whatnot. And so we'll jump right into that here in the next minute, maybe less.
Second. Let me get them.
All right. Chris, tell us a quick fact or while she's doing that or something.
It's just being very weird. It's saying things aren't downloaded, which is so bizarre.
That is weird.
Because they were perfectly fine this
But now the
morning.
government's like, shut
You
down
get
their
nothing.
emails.
Literally.
Yeah, I
Make sure
know,
they don't get
right?
anything.
What is
Stop
going-
talking about aliens. Stop it.
What do you need, hun? Do you need me to just...
No, it's fine. I'm just.
Okay, I have it all right here.
I know. And no, that's the thing.
The government haven't hacked my phone yet.
No, I have it
Okay.
all too, but like some of them are just not downloading, which is so weird.
Okay.
Anyways.
It's
so-
Isabel.
Hey, good morning, EO Serenity. All right. So, Chris, what's
Yes.
the last movie you saw?
What is the last movie I saw? I watched a lot of movies over the weekend, and they were all terrible horror movies. That like the worst horror movies you can find because Megan was out of town all
Yeah.
weekend. So I watched a lot of the TV and movies that she will not.
She just
watch.
won't watch?
She just will not watch.
And so, like,
And
what?
so, like, gosh, I watched a couple of the finer shark-related horror films. You know, Ghost Shark and
Oh, no.
Sand Shark and what was it? I can't even remember, but it was terrible. I
Ghost
have
Shark?
To tell you. I watched Cast a Deadly Spell, which was one of my favorite movies from long, long ago. It is a film noir, a detective story, but it's all H.P. Lovecraft. So it's a Lovecraftian detective story, and as a matter of fact, the private eye is Howard Lovecraft, P.I. And
Oh, wow.
and it's a bad movie, I have to say, but it's one of my favorites. It's just so silly.
All right. Well, Madison has the ghost mail ready. We're about to jump into the next episode. Eni has joined us.
Eni!
What's up, Eni? What's up? What's up? Yes.
We need to get Eni back on the show. Back on the show.
Yes. Eni, come back on the show. Let's do it. All right. So, welcome, Angelina. Alex Machado said, Chris, did you watch Land Shark?
I did watch Land Shark.
Of course you watch Land Shark.
I said Sand Shark. Land Shark. That was definitely it. Land Shark. Which
Sand Shark's coming.
it was like a very bad Tremors. It had the same like kind of connotation as
Sure.
Tremors, but it was a shark under the sand.
Yeah, that sounds like garbage.
Oh,
That sounds real bad.
It was a dumpster fire that you could roast marshmallows on. So
All right, Maddie, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and I'm about to record. Got some people. All right, ready? Okay, here we go. And I am rolling. Go for it.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Most Haunted City on Earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susie.
And I'm Billy Bob.
Oh,
That's
God.
not true at all.
What name are you going to come up with the next episode? Every episode you're changing a little bit
You have
more.
to tune in and find out.
Okay, well, there he goes. He's Billy Bob now.
Billy Bob.
Billy Bob.
All right.
Billy Bob.
Yes. Eni has joined us on the live stream. That's always very
That
exciting.
is always very fun.
Yes.
Yes, for those of you who are watching or listening to this episode, when it's officially posted, we are now live streaming the episodes as we film them, which is really fun.
It's gonna be
So
good.
definitely, if you enjoy that sort of thing, come check it out. Parajunkies, of course, get their own personal live streams and things like that when we do investigations out in the wild, or we do mobile podcasts, or
just special events.
special events. Like when we were filming our short film, actually, we just filmed a Parajunkies story
Yes.
about the woman with the mismatched fingers, which was a Ghostmail, and we turned it into a short horror movie. It's absolutely frightening, and so when we were filming it, we did a live stream of the behind the scenes while we were actually filming in Chris's house. So there you go.
Yes, and here is the trailer. And that's for the episode, not the live stream. I don't have the trailer for the live stream. It's still being cut,
I was like,
but
exciting! Oh,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But anyways, so today we are going to do some ghost mails.
Ghost
You've
mail.
got ghost mail.
Yes. So let's go ahead and jump on in.
So just real fast, just on the woman with mismatched fingers. Thank you so much, Mindy, for sending that ghost mail in. It was like one of the scariest that we've ever read, and that's why we made it into a short film. We are going to be doing that more. It went really, really well. We've built a wonderful team that all worked together to make a super creepy movie. The trailer will be available to Parajunkies tomorrow, I believe, which is going to be Friday the 11th. And then it will be available to the public this weekend. And then Parajunkies are going to get to see the film most likely this weekend. And everyone will be able to see the film sometime next week, if not a little bit later. And we will make those announcements. We'll be posting screenshots. It's going to be awesome. And yes, we will be making more ghost mail into films. We already have like a little list of ones we're gonna make. So send in your ghost mail, and yeah, as long as you give us the story rights, we will absolutely 100% make it. So yeah.
Absolutely. Alrighty. I'm back then. So
Wait, real fast. Angelina wants to know who's that in the picture behind you, Madison.
So, this is a woman from Washington,
Washington,
Georgia.
Georgia.
We
Yeah.
don't know her. She was gifted to us,
But she watches us.
she does.
Yes.
She watches us. It's apparently from a family that's been in Washington, Georgia for a long time. And when we were there filming, they were like, "Here, you can have this photo because."
We don't want it anymore.
Yes, and they didn't say why they didn't want it, but we now acquired it, and she is creepy. And the scratch marks that you see in it are not from a demon. I promise that it was from a cat, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Is what they said.
When they gave it to us.
Yes, when
No, demons, cats. Take the picture.
take the photo. And of course, JT was like, "Yeah, we'll take that." And so now she lives here with us next to Isabel. And what did you name her? I'm getting Bethany.
I'm getting Ilis Elise.
Ilis Elise.
Yeah.
Eileen.
And Alex just asked, what about the second episode of the radio play? Second episode will be coming soon. I'm still writing it. We are
It's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, the woman with mismatched fingers took a bunch of my creative time, but I've been doing that. I've been writing that, so we are going to be doing that. Most likely, you'll see that in September.
Yes. It's going to be fun.
Oh yeah.
So, all righty, ghost mail. from David Lapointe. Hello,
right.
everyone. They go by Will. So I don't know who David is, but this is Will. Hello, everyone. My name is Will, and I am from a small town in Vermont. I have been listening to you guys for a while now and have decided to finally send in my own story.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you very much for sending. I would like to apologize in advance for how wordy it may get, which is fine. Give us all the details. Honestly, that's an important thing to bring up if you do send a ghost mail in. Give us as many details as you have, because that definitely helps aid
Does help.
in our discussion of it. Because if you leave it very vague, there's a lot of variables that could happen with paranormal encounters. And so when you give us really specific things, it helps us gauge more of a feel of what could be going on. So I don't mind the wordiness at all. So send us your wordiest stories you have.
Bring it.
I would like to preface this story by saying that I have always been someone who does not fully believe in the paranormal, which is a lot of times the case with
That's
people.
usually
It is.
the phrase right before a mind-blowing ghost story.
Literally. I grew up as a complete horror and true crime junkie, which also goes really hand in hand with paranormal. I know a lot of paranormal people don't love true crime, and a lot of true crime people don't love paranormal, which is another thing. I'm like, why? They tend to go hand in hand with situations, but anywho, but never believed much of it. This was mainly because I had never seen it for myself and couldn't fully believe in something that I had no true evidence on. Nevertheless, I loved the idea of the paranormal to death and never let my beliefs stop me from consuming what I enjoyed. Also very fair. Since I was not a true believer, paired with my non-existent fear of the dark, I was not scared of many things as a kid. I found myself on many summer nights playing games with my friends in the dark and wandering through the pitch black woods, where any noise I heard didn't scare me but rather intrigued me. You are braver than I am, Will, I must say.
You're a horror movie's dream.
Literally.
What's that sound? I'll go investigate.
Literally.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. But anyways, with this background, I finally will get to the real story. When I was in 8th grade, I was spending the night at a friend's house after another friend's birthday party. The friend whose birthday it was a girl from school who I will call O. Me along with my other friend D decided we would spend the night at my friend A's house after the party was over. I will make it known now that I was a very mischievous child. That makes sense since you had literally no fear of anything. I was a very mischievous child, and to say A's mom didn't like me was an understatement. That night was, we had decided to stay at A's house because all the girls from the party were spending the night at O's house, and we wanted to sneak out and meet them later in the night, as children do. Being that bad influence I formulated a perfect plan that consisted of my friend propping the bulkhead door in the basement open earlier in the day so we could sneak out later that night. We slept in the basement, so access to this was easy, and you needed a key to open the bulkhead, which his parents kept in the kitchen. With my plan in effect, we went to bed around midnight and waited till 1 a.m. when we knew his mom was asleep, since she was the only other person home, and went to bed early. Quietly, we snuck through the basement and made our way out of the bulkhead, making sure to prop it back up after we left so we could get back through it later in the night. From there, we went to the girls' house and spent a couple hours in their basement talking to the girls. Eventually, we decided it was time to leave and made our way back to A's house. To set the scene, A lived on a mountain road in Vermont. Oh God, I can only imagine where this is going.
Yeah.
That's another perfect, consistent story for a horror movie. It was late, the middle of the night, in a dark
On a
mountain
mountain
road of
road.
Vermont. And his closest neighbor was O, who lived a 15-minute walk down the road. Needless to say, there was nobody around their house much, and definitely no trespassers often. Walking up his long, winding driveway, we made our way around the side of the house where his parents didn't sleep. For reference, his house had a basement, a main floor, a second floor, and an attic-type space. A and his younger brother lived on the second floor while his parents lived in the attic, which was a massive space his dad had turned into an amazing master bedroom. We walked around the side of the house that was opposite of their room, and as we snuck through the yard, we perfectly passed all the motion-activated lights and were almost back to the bulkhead when we heard two of the most distinct knocks coming from the bathroom window on our right. That's also so creepy.
Yeah.
Just two knocks like that.
At least we know it's not a demon, because that would be 3 knocks, right?
Not necessarily, but, you know.
Conceptually,
yes. But, like, that's something I've always found really creepy, and I think it comes from the strangers mostly, because I'm not scared of a lot either, like, when it comes to, like, classic horror stuff or paranormal type stuff. I'm not really afraid of it. And so, like, watching the strangers, though, that single knock that they do at the door, that's so horrifying, because that's not normal. And so I can imagine that's just like, ugh, you know. Just
but 2 knocks is a little bit more normal.
Not necessarily.
I'd rather hear 2 knocks
than
3 knocks, because then you know that it's, you know, trying to make fun of God, you know, with 3.
But it's still,
and then the 1 knock means I'm here to kill you.
Right.
Definitely.
Just that's it.
I'll keep that in mind next time I come over.
Yeah. No. Right. So JT and I, when we let each other know, and this comes from my dad, because my dad always would knock on my door, and how I knew it was my dad is because he would knock to Jingle Bells.
Having a
and
nice.
So I do that now, and so like everybody on our team knows it's me at the door because I knock Jingle Bells. And so anyways, but we heard the distinct knocks coming from the bathroom window on our right. All 3 of us whipped our heads towards the noise and saw nothing as the bathroom light was off and window was pitch black. Ooh. That's so creepy. All cursing out loud, we sprinted towards the bulkhead, wanting to get back to the basement before his mom, because this is who we thought was knocking on the window.
Right. Makes sense.
Logical. So sprinting to the bulkhead, my friend Dee pulled it open for us to be met with the biggest scare I and most likely all of us has ever encountered. At the bottom of the stairs, down the bulkhead, the basement light was on in the back room the bulkhead opened up into. At the bottom of the stairs were all 3 of our sleeping bags, which had been set up in the main part of the basement in a line of 3. Each sleeping bag was laid out perfectly with a pillow at the end of them. We were terrified, but we went downstairs anyways and shut the bulkhead behind us. Grabbing the sleeping bags, we dragged them back into the main room and were met with another chilling sight. When we left, we had left everything turned on and the lights off as well. In the main room, we found his TV on and the Wii that was connected to it on as well. On the TV screen was the Me character creation screen frozen on the part where you name your character. We turned off. That's so weird. That because you have to like go through to get to that. You have to flip through that.
Whoa.
We turned off the TV and Wii and sat on the couch all terrified. A eventually went upstairs to check on if his mom was awake, and when he came back, he said he walked all the way to her room and she wasn't awake. The next day, she said nothing of the incident, which we thought was weird because she was the type of parent to explode at the idea of sneaking out at night. I'm now 22 and freshly graduated out of college. The reason I thought of this story again was because A and D and I met up the other day for drinks, and the story came up. We said how weird it was that his mom had knocked on the window, which was 2 floors down and across from the house, from the bathroom she usually uses. What scares me the most is that A interjected and said since then he has asked her and told her the full story many times and hope that she confesses on trying to scare us. But to this very day, she swears on her life that she never knocked on any window and never knew we snuck out at all. Since then, I've experienced nothing at all, and A has said nothing about any other incidents that has happened in that house, but what do you think could have happened? Love you guys so much, and thank you for taking the time to read this. Love from up north. I also have some hometown haunting stories from Vermont. Please send those in.
Yes,
I'd love
please
to read those.
Vermont is insanely haunted.
Yes, so let me know.
New England, yeah.
Exactly. So let me know if you would like to hear those as well. Yes,
we
please do. Thank
Please,
you, Will,
please.
for sending that in. That was so creepy.
For sure. That was super creepy.
Yeah.
Harry Jane said the ghost just wanted to play the Wii.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. EO Serenity said all the factors are adding up. Willing, curious person, scary house, up a road, attic space sounds like a top-rated horror movie in the making.
There you go.
LOL.
Literally.
Yep.
I don't think we
killer-
have an access to a basement in Savannah is the problem.
Yeah.
Right. The
Yep,
killer
yep.
we.
Yes.
Yes.
And Angelina asked a question, and I'll ask that question to y'all after we discuss this.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So basically, I think it was more than likely something was aware that you were up to no good. It could have been a house spirit of sorts that's aware of your presence, has been around you guys, and is just trying to get your attention of being like, hey, maybe you shouldn't sneak out. You know what I mean? That's the vibe
Yeah.
I got. I don't feel like it's something super negative. Sure, it's creepy because paranormal encounters in general, especially if you don't encounter them often, are frightening and unnerving. But what it sounded like to me is simply that. It sounded like you have a house spirit in this home who is just aware of like what everybody's normal routines are, what you're supposed to do. Maybe they were more of a stickler to rules. Maybe they were a parent themselves and they're like, the kids are out in the middle of the night. You shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just their way of letting you know that they're aware that you're up to no good. But that's just my inkling.
Chris.
Yeah, I have a tendency to believe that we're dealing with certainly not malevolent. It doesn't
not
seem
at all.
malevolent, but given the TV, the Wii, the sleeping bags, those notions makes me think that you're dealing with somebody who wanted to be included.
Oh, interesting.
You know, somebody who wanted to play, was looking forward to an evening with you know,
the
life
kids.
and with
Yep.
kids and maybe a kid itself. You know,
Yeah.
or you know, something that had observed you enough to know how to get past. Because you know, most ghosts are not going to be overly tech savvy. So if you're playing a game a lot, maybe just simply by observing the playing of the game, so you might be dealing with kind of a lonely ghost,
Sure.
like
Aw.
setting up the game, setting up the
that's
things,
sad.
you
A
know,
lonely
putting the bed rolls out and being like, yeah, they're going to be back soon. They're going to be back soon. So it's possible that when you're
that's
walking by
sad.
the window, it was like, hey,
Hey.
you're back. Let's go play Wii.
Like,
That's probably it, actually.
that's actually a really good
Yeah,
concept.
that's it.
Yeah, I love that. You know, and it's interesting, too, that it was on the part of the me character. Because
Right.
if you remember doing that, like, you would make your characters to look like yourself. And I wonder if
You know,
they...
what was the character? I was
Yeah.
thinking that too. I was like,
Yeah.
what did it look like?
Yeah, and I wonder if it, like, made it kind of look like what they perceive themselves to look like. To be like, this is me.
It's me.
It's me. Like, I'm your friend now. That's so... honestly, I like your theory a lot better, Chris. I'm going to go with that as well. That's super
Yeah,
interesting.
I like that too.
Yeah. So what was the question?
Oh, the question is Angelina Vito asks, my brother worked in a mortuary and is quite interested in all of this. Do butterflies flutter around the morgue at random? Does it have anything to do with any of this?
Butterflies are a classic trope of a spirit being nearby. A lot
Absolutely.
of, you know, so oftentimes people who are recently passed will appear as butterflies, or they'll appear to their family members as butterflies. It's just a classic trope of rebirth almost. They've entered a new realm, basically. And so it's their new existence, and it's represented through butterflies.
Yes, a lot of people use butterflies as signals from loved ones.
Yeah.
So we talk a lot about birds,
Right.
You know,
Cardinals
and showing up as avatars of spirits of the people that you know loved us and want to keep us aware. So, quick question: have you seen Haunted Mansion yet?
No, I
That's the
haven't
new
seen
one?
it yet.
I was
JT,
going to
we need-
refer to it.
we need to
There's
go see
there's
it.
a great
Yeah.
reference piece, and it works really well with what we talk about a lot. So the idea that a butterfly would be around where the body lingers. It's such a strange phenomenon. When a person dies, the concept of the ghost being like the pilot of our meat suit,
Right.
like being just this thing. It's a little broken because we actually have so many facets to ourselves. And you can haunt more than one place. You can be present in lots of places as a single spirit because time doesn't mean anything to the dead, and space doesn't mean anything to the dead. So, you can haunt your childhood home and look like a little boy, or you could, haunt, the last place where you were alive and be the full adult version of you. We've even talked about people who have seen adult versions of children who had died,
Right.
as if the ghost itself had grown into an adult. So there are all kinds of different things, but one of the things that is most noted is that the body will always have a special place for the
Right.
spirit. The spirit will always be anchored to the body, and that's a lot of the reason why graveyards have so many customs attached to it, is because we're trying to make sure that anchor keeps the spirit happy, or keeps it organized. We put dead bodies on very comfortable cushions and with satin and all these things, because we're trying to create a place where the spirit isn't at unrest, because we're always attached to the body, because that's how we understand the world.
Sure.
So the concept of a butterfly being an avatar for that spirit, it makes sense that it would be where bodies are.
Right.
Where the bodies are. You see, when you see butterflies in graveyard, it's supposed to be of significance that anchor, that tether, is still very strong.
I want to become a mossy plant of some sort. So,
All right. Well, thanks for
Can't
sending
relate.
that in.
yes, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Awesome. All right. So, Ashley Swint, or Ashley Meyerskaw. My name is Ashley Meyerskaw. So must have recently got married. Sorry if I read your name and you're like, that's not my name now anymore, because like whatever your email name is, I read that first. But anyways, so my name is Ashley Meyerskaw. I am a new Parajunkie. Yay! Thank you,
Woo!
Ashley.
Welcome. Welcome.
Yes, welcome to the Parajunkie gang.
With the Parajunkie gang.
We're going to get some motorcycles.
We're gonna get leather jackets. Honestly, we should get jackets. That'd be cool.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yes, we should do that. Okay, anyways. So also we should never mind, I shouldn't say that. That should be a surprise for for someone a certain Parajunkie. But anyways.
Okay.
Love the podcast and would love to share one of my ghost stories with you all. This is a long story, so I apologize in advance. Again, don't apologize for sending details. We love details. So on May 1st, 2016, my now husband's roommate and brother-in-law, David, passed away tragically in a motorcycle accident in Sonoya, Georgia. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yep.
It's really sad. While driving to meet another close friend to ride their motorcycles together. That's really sad that we just made jokes about motorcycles.
and,
No.
I'm sorry.
Whoa, weird.
That's
okay.
weird.
That's weird. Okay. Anyways, the events of that day still stick with me so vividly to this day. My husband and I were on our way to a tattoo appointment that we had a month in advance when we received a call from David's friend, who was also a close friend of my husband. He was looking for David because he had not shown up to meet him a few hours after he said that he was on the way. I immediately had a feeling in my gut that something terrible had happened. I have always been extremely sensitive, and my gut feeling about things have always been right. Sometimes I hate that. It's called claircognizance. It's a wonderful gift and also a curse in a lot of different people. So I totally understand what you're saying. But we immediately canceled our appointment and turned around and headed back to my husband's rental house. Once we arrived, there was no word from David. On the ride back, I had reached out to anyone who knew that might have heard from him. Everyone had tried calling or texting him to ensure that he was okay. We searched the house up and down, and there was no sign of him. In our last sweep, when I was moving back towards the living room upstairs from the hallway where the bedrooms were, I saw something out of the corner of my eye in the living room on the couch. I saw him, David. My husband's brother-in-law, my brother-in-law slash roommate, the one we were looking for, he was sitting on the couch in a trance-like state, staring at the TV in the living room.
Whoa.
He never looked at me, never looked away from where the TV sat in the living room. I called my husband because I was so relieved to see him sitting there. He was so solid, so present that I couldn't believe that somehow we missed him in our searching of the house. I turned away to make sure that my husband heard me downstairs in the basement, and when I looked back at the couch, he was no longer there. In that moment, I knew he had passed.
Wow.
To this day, I was the only one that ever saw him after he passed. I have goosebumps. I have goosies. This is crazy.
Yeah.
I was the only one that ever saw him after he passed. Hours after this, we received the most devastating call from his parents that he was in a motorcycle accident and that he had passed. Very soon after this horrific event, my husband asked one of his closest friends to move in to help pay the rent so that he could continue living there. Upon moving in, his friend lived in the finished basement space that was previously occupied by David when he lived there. Our friend group all gathered there at the house. We were all still in shock. My husband's parents purchased a gift card for Longhorn Steakhouse for us to ensure that through our grief we were all able to go out together and eat because none of us could eat through the stress of losing such a close friend and brother.
Yeah.
We all went to dinner in about 3 days after the event. I never told anyone about my encounter with David on the day that he passed. I was afraid that they would all think I was crazy, which it's not uncommon to see a loved one right after they pass. It's
Sure.
a very common story that people have. So,
Yeah,
but
didn't Ashley Warner send in a similar ghost mail?
Yes.
Yeah, where someone was murdered and
she
had
a dream about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not uncommon for that to happen. But I can understand why people feel like they can't share it because you don't want to sound insensitive. But it is a very real experience.
Absolutely.
So when we all returned to the house after dinner, we could hear a loud noise coming from the house. My husband entered cautiously, and when he opened the door, we could all hear music. We all walked in the house with him on edge, and we could hear the sound of music. At the time of this event, my husband was a senior advisor for Apple who worked from home. He had 2 monitors in his house, and both of his monitors were on YouTube playing the song Good, Good Father by 1000 Fathers / Georgie Wilkins at full volume.
Wow.
It rang through the house. Little did we know that this was in fact the very song that David's mother would ask my husband, who plays bass, and his friend, who plays drums, to play at the funeral service 2 days after the events. Whoa. Literally chills. Oh my God, that's so creepy. That's insane. It all came full circle in the end. None of us could explain how this song was playing from his computer. I've not seen our friend / brother since this incident. At his funeral service, his parents hired a painter that painted during the service. I'm a painter myself, but I could not bring myself to look at what she was painting as my eyes were filled with tears during the entire service.
Wow.
I did not want to believe that we were even there, celebrating the short life of my friend who passed away too young. David's mother unexpectedly stood up at the end of the service and spoke out after the music and vigil was held for him. She walked over to the painting / painter and said that she needed to explain this painting that was now completed. She had witnessed this scene before in a dream the night before the service. Mind you, this was a religious service. She explained that the night before she had a dream that her son had met Jesus, and that she was along for the ride as he met him, and explained how he felt that he was not worthy of entering heaven as he had done some things in his past that made him feel inferior. Mm-hmm. Despite those things, Jesus took him on a tour of heaven, standing atop a beautiful waterfall overlooking the most beautiful scenery anyone could ever see, were 2 figures beside one another. Chills filled my body. In the things I had seen earlier that week, I was scared to doubt that his mother had seen him as well. I have never shared this story with anyone. I would love to know your thoughts on the afterlife, and if anyone can come back to let their family know that they have made it into heaven via dreams. I have not seen my dear friend since this event. I would love to believe that he had made it to heaven. Would love to hear your feedback on this very long story. Thank you very much for reading. If you have made it to the end of this, Ashley Myerscaw. Absolutely fabulous story.
Wow.
And that's why we say don't skimp on the details, because that is just so unbelievable. But it's very, very common to hear, especially shortly after loved ones pass, that they come back in ways to comfort their family members. And especially you hear it a lot when people die unexpectedly, or,
It's the crowning achievement of unfinished business.
Exactly.
Is letting the people that you love know you're all right, or know that you love them.
Exactly. And also the reason why I say that, because people will ask, like, how do I see my loved ones? How do I feel them again? Everybody has clear abilities in some ways. It's just some people are more attuned to them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times your spirits or your family members or whoever it is that are trying to talk to you or contact you are going to come through in ways that they know they're going to actually be seen. So that makes sense why you saw him in person. Like, that was going to be the way that they were going to get the most acknowledgement from you, versus his mother might have had that experience and not thought anything of it, or wouldn't have been able to acknowledge that experience. So they chose to come through in dreams because they knew this is the time that she's going to get the most impact out of this. So I think it's interesting that you each had very different encounters, but they both brought closure in some ways. And that shows that unfinished business was being completed, And also, I think it's really interesting that you brought up when you saw him that he was so solid, because I've also mentioned this before with spirits. I'm like, because people are like, well, what did they look? And I'm like, they all look different. He was a freshly created spirit, so of course he's going to be much more solid. And that's why I say I've been duped sometimes by spirits, because I'm like, at first I'm like, oh, that's just a normal person, and then it's not. Because they might have just recently died. They haven't expended all of their energy. Everybody still knows of their existence. They haven't been lost to time like a lot of spirits have, which is when you typically see the more transparency to them, the lack of features, the lack of, certain distinguishing clothing items or whatever it be. So I'm glad you brought up how like realistic it felt and how tangible it felt, because it can be like that. And
especially with so recently.
Exactly.
Deceased. Because you very likely are encountering the spirit not accepting that it has passed.
Yeah.
It is now operating on a sort of shock.
Right.
You say that it was sitting dazed, staring. It made it home. It came home. He came home with that notion of, this isn't real. I'm not.
Right.
This. And thereby probably burning a lot of his energy on maintaining his solidity.
Right.
That because of that time period when you saw him, you probably saw him right at the threshold, right at the moment, of passing, that causes that very strong impulse of a spirit. And it may have been such a surprise to him that he had not fully accepted his fate at that point. People communicating about heaven in dreams or in things like that, that is a great comfort to those who are alive. You see your loved one in heaven, or being embraced by God, or in those lights, and it becomes like this very tricky conversation because of the wide breadth of faith and the wide breadth of what it is. But it is my belief that religion, faith, the love that you place in your life, you're building your heaven as you live.
Sure.
You're building it in an expectancy to where you spend eternity. And you have to, contribute in faith and contribute in things. And that leads to a lot of doubt that you're going to make it.
Right.
It leads to a lot of doubt that you're going to be there. So those reassurant dreams are oftentimes to put at rest the angst and the pain, is to say, I'm in a better place. I'm in that better place. But I think faith builds your heaven, and you will receive it when you die if you were faithful to that heaven. But in the end, we are immensely powerful beings,
Right.
and we don't give humanity enough credit for the responsibility for our reality and the responsibility for what happens next. So yeah, I think that it's not abnormal to hear the story, because I've heard that before, the people who lost a loved one and seeing them, in some form of heaven,
Right.
and being given the relief that is what has occurred, that is what's come to pass. So, yeah.
I also am a believer in the fact that it's spirits will give us imagery that is easily digestible for us,
Right.
if you will, because I think the concept of eternity or heaven or wherever you believe that you're going is incomprehensible.
Incomprehensible.
Incomprehensible. Thank you, JT. Yes, I think it's just we're not able to comprehend the vastness of it. And spirits rely on imagery to kind of give us a taste of what it is, but until you get there, you can't understand. It's
Right.
not meant for us to
It's
understand.
a translation.
Exactly. And so, like imagery, you hear imagery of like the big pearly gates, the waterfalls, the beautiful nature, like all of that. Like, I feel like that's because that's what we know.
Yeah.
And we can understand that, and we know that's beautiful. So we're like, great, that's what it looks like. But I think, when you get there, it's very different. But
yeah, it's always strange that we utilize all of these sensory things, these things that would be comfortable for the body,
right.
Things that would be appealing to the body, but we know full well the body does not go. We see the body. So the fact that our heavens and our hells seem to be about, they're going to, rend your flesh. It's like, what flesh? It's still here.
Right.
Am I given a new body? What happens? And it's like, well, it's because of our ability to understand our environment. So we create environments that we understand to be pleasing or tormenting.
Right.
But the truth of it is, the physicality of of a location like that is more a translation of sensation than it is a real estate address.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's a very tricky, understanding of it. And like when people have those experiences, like when people have near death experiences and discuss like what they saw or things like that, it's tricky to decipher, because I'm like, who am I to say what you saw isn't reality?
Absolutely.
And so but it is a fascinating experience, and I'm glad that it brought her peace.
Yes.
To know that like her child is okay, because I can only imagine how brutal that must have been.
Absolutely.
So but thank you for trusting us with that story and allowing us to share
seriously. We also have a couple comments. Michaela said that it's heartwarming to know that he stuck around to let people know he was there. Angelina Vito said, thank you for your insightful explanations. In our culture, we prioritize ensuring the comfort of the deceased. Similarly, in Indian culture, the practice involves cremating the bodies and dispersing the ashes in a distant river. This ritual signifies the strong connection believed to exist between the spirit and body, solidifying their faith.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I think it's beautiful. I mean, like when you look into rituals from different cultures, it's always fascinating to see what the priorities are of, and the root of it always is they want the deceased to be okay. Nobody wants the deceased to feel discomfort or, any type of torment.
Yeah.
And so, I would love to actually even do like a whole episode on just
funeral practices.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think that would be super interesting.
Because it is all about trying to navigate the idea of peace.
Right.
And achieving peace.
So
yes.
But yeah, so thank you.
This episode is like so deep,
Right.
and the next episode
Is so not.
so not. Like y'all just
Squonk.
wait. No, we can't say it.
Okay, we'll cut that, Debria. Cut it.
Anyway, all right, let's go ahead.
Well,
jump
they already
into the
know
next
it's in
one.
the title of the live stream. That
Is
we're
it?
yes.
No, it's not.
I thought it was.
I didn't put it in the. Nope.
Oh well.
Oh, there
now
we go.
now you know.
There you go.
So,
And
anyways,
it would mean nothing to a lot of people.
Yeah, I know,
it's
right?
true. Well, anywho, so thank you guys so much for sending in your ghost mail. If you,
No, we have one more.
oh, do we?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
have one more. Remember?
Oh, okay. Yep.
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 But yes, thank you for sending in your ghost mails.
Yes.
Yep.
1 second. I just gotta find it.
That's all right. Young. But the next episode is about a cryptid in Pennsylvania. And it recently went, like, I'm not going to say it went viral, but there's been a lot more posts about it. And because I sent it, I tagged y'all, and I was like, what is this?
Oh, yeah, I
Literally.
know. It's a lesser known on a wide scale. It's a lesser known cryptid, but locally it is quite celebrated.
Cool.
have
Do we
it.
not have a third one?
We have it. It's just I don't know why. Like the ghosts are messing with this today because like everyone
do you
that
need
I'm.
my phone?
Yeah, can I see your phone?
right,
Because every single one that I'm clicking on, it won't download the message. It's really
so weird. Them ghosts.
Them ghosts. Them
Them
ghosts.
ham
Them ghosts.
Because we've got a few that are stacked up, and I'm just very confused.
So for the Parajunkies that remember the Iceland episode that I only released on Patreon, and it's still only there. If you want to hear the Iceland episode, you should go ahead. It's so unbelievably ridiculous, and you should if you. I feel like this next one is going to be just as ridiculous.
It's gonna come close. Well, it's not going to have nearly the soap opera.
Yeah. All right, you found it?
Yes,
Let's
it's
do
from
it.
Lorenzo, actually.
Oh, Lorenzo.
So,
Congratulations.
because
cool.
so Lorenzo, I've had to break up this ghost mail into multiple episodes because he sent like his whole life story of paranormal encounters in one email. So there's a lot of stories.
Okay. Yeah,
so
so we
we've
just read
read
one.
some of this email in particular, but I just wanted to open
Gotcha.
some more of the
Continuing.
stories.
Gotcha.
Continuing of Lorenzo's ghost encounters. So we'll restart with the email top, the intro of all of it that we've read in former emails, but just so that you know what's going on. So howdy do. I figured it was time for this old dog to relay his story. I have yet to share this with anyone. First off, I've attached 2 videos of my palms in response to the Q&A way back in June. He said it was posted on June 2nd, 2023. We had mentioned that in certain palmistry beliefs that it can tell you what psychic abilities you have. You can look at witches' marks. So he sent his palms so we can see his palms.
Oh, cool.
I am not an expert in palmistry, but I will definitely take a look and I'll give you a message if I figure anything.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about like the really long M.
Yeah, the M and N.
Yeah.
And all that, because that's a clear indicator of if you can see spirits. And I, on both my hands, have very distinct M's, which is really interesting. And I believe Lorenzo also had really distinct M's. But anyways, so we'll start with Casper gets me yelled at.
Excellent.
So this one is short but goofy. I was working on my homework in my room with my mom making supper in the kitchen and my stepdad watching TV in the living room. Now, please trust me when I say that I am not joking. I know I have sounded crazier than a lion doing a handstand. You got to be from Texas. Is he from
I
Texas
know, right?
originally?
No.
Is he? He's
No,
from Illinois now, but
Yeah.
but you got to be from Texas originally. Howdy do and
Howdy do.
crazier than a lion doing a handstand.
Oh, it sounds pretty Midwest to me.
Midwestern.
It doesn't
That's
sound
just-
Midwestern
yeah,
to
it
me.
is.
That's
Really?
all good.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, anyways.
Missouri.
But I swear that to you all that everything I have said and going to say is the truth. It's around 5 p.m. on some weekday. I have an irrelevant YouTube video playing in the background. As I'm working on the homework, a pencil lifts up into the air like some Harry Potter bleep.
Got it.
Yeah, sorry, kiddos. And flings into the hallway. No joke, it lifts into the air like someone picked it up and it was thrown into the hallway. This is legit a core memory for me. I can imagine, something levitating right in front of you. That sounds like a core memory.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is really insane. So how do I know it happened? My mom yelled, "Quit throwing stuff." And my stepdad asked, "Hey, why are you throwing things?" Of course, they didn't believe me when I said I didn't do it. So that's first story.
Okay.
Then he has this titled Current Times, Apartment 31 Introduction. At this point in my life, I'm 21 with my current age of 22. I'm married with one child. My wife despises everything to do with the unknown, yet she tolerates my curiosity because it has yet to kill me. Yet. Now, my apartment is a duplex. For those who don't know what a duplex is, it's 2 apartments that share a wall. As you can guess, it's not very big. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, maybe 800 square feet. When you walk in the door, you immediately enter the living room space. To the left of the entrance, past the living room, is the kitchen, which has the back door on the back left side of the kitchen. If instead of left, you went right from the entrance, you would end up in sort of an intersection of rooms. Straight ahead would be the bathroom, and then to the right would be both of the bedrooms, and the left would be the office, and right would be our bedroom. I hope that paragraph made any lick of sense to anyone. ADHD brains go wild sometimes. I understand that. So, the mimic of apartment 31. That was just to explain what his apartment looked like. But I cannot tell you the exact date when it started, but I can tell you that it was fleeting glances. I opened the fridge and saw my wife walk by. I said something along the lines of, "Hey, babe," only to be met with silence. When I turned around, she wasn't there. I shrugged it off and thought that she must have been in a hurry to get back to our daughter. At another point, I was in the shower. I heard my wife yell my name, not in a help I'm dying manner, but in a more of a where is X, Y, or Z. I stepped out of the shower and opened the door and asked what she needed, but she walked into the living room and looked at me as if my face was green. I asked, "What's up? What's wrong?" My wife responded with the good old, "I didn't call for you. Quit messing around."
Uh-oh.
This may seem insignificant, but the name calling in each other's voices happened on a semi-regular basis. Along with the infamous, I know, right? Along with the infamous triple knocks on the door, JT.
Oh, no. Triple knocks.
Anyways, things being knocked over and thrown, the footsteps outside the windows, only for no one to be anywhere when I would check. And then another part of apartment 31. The toy doesn't like it when we fight.
Uh-oh.
Apparently you need to move out of apartment 31.
Yeah, I know, right?
She's your friend.
No, she isn't.
I was Elise.
Ooh, I hate the dolls. I feel...
That's why I put them behind you.
I know. I hate that, Jay. Like, literally, I feel her staring into the back of my head, and it's really hard to focus because I just feel this creepy doll in the back of my head. Thank you very much. Okay. So we're going to talk about the toy that doesn't like to fight. No, the toy that doesn't like it when we fight. We're going to read this one, and then we'll save the rest of Lorenzo's ghost stories for another ghost mail. But the missus and I do not proclaim to have a perfect relationship. As per every relationship, there will be arguments. One will say something that they don't mean, and the other will respond defensively. It's not a couple's proudest moment, but the healing and bonding that hopefully happens after is beautiful. Very true. You're very right. No, everybody fights. No big deal. My mother gave my daughter one of those toy cars that a kid can sit in. It was old, but still worked, and my daughter loved it. 1-year-olds tend to like any toy that'll make noise and annoy an adult. As most toys end up, the car was forgotten about outside. During a dispute, we were stopped dead in our tracks by some familiar melodies. The melody ceased as soon as we did, and the second that one of us made a sound, so would the melody. Curious to find out what it could be, I investigated. Man, I would be dead so many times over in a movie. To my dismay, outside the front door was the toy car. Lights on and the melody cheerfully beeping along, which is frightening because that toy has been out there for months through all sorts of Midwestern weather. I went outside, pressed the buttons, and nothing, no matter how hard I pressed, how many I pressed, it wouldn't make a peep. Dead battery, probably creepy as heck, definitely. That toy has not made a single noise in the weeks that had been out there. The toy was bone dry in all. Even if it was a coincidence, at least it stopped our argument. So, with that, thank you guys so much for sending in your ghost mail. And Lorenzo, those are so fun, and I can't wait to read the rest of the stories because they are you just have a very comical way of writing and really presenting the stories. So, and you should definitely write more of them if you have them.
Yes.
But yes, if you have a ghost mail story that you would like to send to us, please send those in. We really appreciate them. You can send it to ghostmail@hauntedcitypodcast.com. Also, TikTok took away the Q&A button.
What?
I know.
What?
I know. So if you have a question that you want to ask us, Ghostmail is going to be the place to do all of the things.
Yes.
But do make sure to preface if it's a Ghostmail or a Q&A question to make it a little bit easier on me to decipher between the two. So yeah, just in the subject, put question or Ghostmail, and then whatever you want to title it from there is good to go. But yes, please send those in. We absolutely love reading them. And the listeners, the Parajunkies, they all enjoy hearing y'all's experiences as well. It makes it feel like a very nice paranormal community, if you will. So, but with that though, thank you guys again for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susie.
And stay spooky, y'all.
All right, let's go ahead and
thank you, Jay, for letting me use your phone because I don't know why.
Absolutely.
I literally, no matter how many times I pressed on it, it was just like, this message cannot be downloaded. I'm like,
that's so
weird. It was
weird.
literally like, I'm not kidding you. I pulled all of them up before we started filming, and now the ghosts are aggravated.
That's weird.
Like, how dare you talk about aliens?
Literally.
All right, Madison, you got the next one up.
Squonk.
Squonk.
And it's a From One to Wicked, but I think I already know what mine.
It's a squonk from One to Wicked.
It's 0.5.
Yeah, right?
All right, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and roll and go for it.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Most Haunted City on Earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susie.
And I'm JT Timmons.
And today we are going to do a From One to Wicked that I am very excited about this cryptid.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because, listen, JT the other day, because of course JT and I and Chris are all in these like weird paranormal cryptid type groups and stuff on Facebook. And so every once in a while you'll see things that pop up and you're like, we have to talk about this. So JT tagged us the other day, and he tagged us in a cryptid called the Squonk.
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 It's an onomatopoeia.
It is. It's a squonk. And so it's the ugliest creature.
It is so ugly.
It is so sad. It is a sad, sad creature. And
have you ever heard of the squonk before?
No.
Is this your introduction to the squonk?
Yes.
Oh, no, the squonk's great.
Yeah, this is my introduction to the squonk. I had no idea until JT tagged me in it, which I was like, this is fabulous. I love the squonk. It's not going to beat Mothman for me. I'm a Mothman lady, but you know.
A Mothman
Which,
lady.
by the way, also, I want to create a paranormal fantasy book club because I recently found a book called I'm in Love with Mothman. And it's a paranormal Mothman fiction romance.
Bruh.
So if anybody's interested in reading I'm in Love with Mothman with me and discussing that, let's do it, because I think that would be so much fun, and there's so many paranormal fun fantasies. Maybe. You don't have to join it, Chris. Maybe. I'm sure Ashley Warner would join me in I'm in Love with Mothman.
Don't do it. Just don't.
Megan and Eni, if you're listening,
Don't do it.
Join.
No.
Megan's
No.
a bookworm. Megan.
Yes. Megan reads like more books than is possible in the time that she has, and don't put I'm in Love with the Mothman on top of the list of already so many books you're reading.
Megan, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Well,
Anyways.
y'all, for anyone who wants to see what the squonk looks like, this is what this. I think it'll focus. There we go. This is what the squonk looks like.
Squonk.
Looks
Squonk.
like a brain
It does.
that is
It does.
run
So-
away from the owner's head.
Chris described it as like if you took a Shar-Pei, like the dog, like the Shar-Pei, and mixed it with a pig, that's what you get. It's the squonk.
The squonk. And we are going to be doing a From One to Wicked on it.
Yes.
And so I was saying in the last episode that there is an episode that we filmed, and it was about an Icelandic creature folklore,
The Grilla.
the Grilla, and
Yes.
I put it on Patreon because I'm like, only Parajunkies will want to hear this, and so. You can, if you're not a Parajunkie yet, you can jump on there and watch the
It's
Grilla.
so good.
The Grilla is like 20 seasons of General Hospital. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I don't know why JT like craps on me when it comes to
I don't crap on you,
You
honey.
do.
No,
Every
I
time I
don't.
bring up Fae, every time I bring up these fun cryptids or crazy creatures of folklore, JT's like, nobody's gonna want to watch this. And I'm like, you're wrong. You are wrong. The Gorilla deserves a reality TV show. And so
She really does.
Does she now?
she does. She ate her husband
right.
and then divorced another one. She is.
Keeps children in balloons that hang off her butt.
We talk about it all
Butt
the time.
balloons.
Clearly, it was great. It was some of my supreme research.
Supreme research.
You know-
No.
And
So,
she's a Christmas entity on top of all of that.
Oh my god.
yeah. So,
Sorry.
Alex,
I will,
Hold on, we got
die
some
on this
comments.
hill of Greeliness.
Alex Machado said it looks so cute, and that she wants to put a sweater on it.
Yes.
It's probably just shivering in
It
the
needs
woods
a
somewhere.
sweater. It's from Pennsylvania. It needs a sweater.
Oh my god! And Harry Jane said, if I ever saw that, I'd either run or throw hands. Goodness gracious!
Squonk.
Squonk.
Okay. Anyway, so let's get into it.
Shall we?
All right. So, welcome to From One to Wicked. Today's entity is the squonk.
Squonk.
So, what is it? It is a creature that lives in Pennsylvania hemlocks that is so ugly it cries about it.
It cries. It's so sad that it looks the way it does. It's got a self-esteem issue, people.
Like, you thought your self-esteem was low. This is lower.
no.
It's like,
Wait, so it knows how it
knows how
it
ugly
looks?
it is.
Like, does it like
How
see its
unwanted
reflection
it
in
is.
its own tears?
It's the ugly duckling in pig monster form.
Yes.
and there have been sightings.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
There is.
As a matter of fact, you hear it crying before you see it.
Yeah, you'll hear about it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so let's talk about an excerpt from the book Fearsome Creatures of the Lumberwoods.
Fearsome.
Fearsome. The swamp made it into the cut. I don't know how it did, but it did, and I'm glad that it did because you can read this book. So the range of the squonk is very limited. Few people outside of Pennsylvania have ever heard of the quaint beast. I had never heard of it. I've also never been to Pennsylvania, but yeah, it lives out in the woods of Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Which is sad,
Yeah, by itself.
sad
Like that.
existence,
Sad, lonely
already.
existence.
But which is said to be fairly common in the hemlock forests of that state. The squonk is has a very retiring disposition, generally traveling about at twilight and dusk. So it's a night critter, which I can imagine if you're in the Pennsylvania woods and you happen upon a crying pig monster, you're like, I'm gonna run away from you now, which doesn't help with his self-esteem.
No.
He looks like he stank.
He probably does. He don't bathe.
No.
Where you go bathe in the hemlocks?
He doesn't have enough.
He bathes himself in his
self-esteem,
tears.
right? He doesn't have enough self-esteem to bathe.
Arcadia Eklund said, poor Squonk, he's harmless.
Yeah. Squonk. But anyways, because of its misfitting skin, which is kind to say, which is covered with warts and moles, it is always unhappy. In fact, it is said by people who are best able to judge to be the most morbid of beasts.
Wow.
And hunters who are good at tracking are able to follow a squonk by its tear-stained trail. For the animal weeps constantly.
Oh no!
And mind you, this is a published
crying beast.
This is a published book on cryptids that is giving us
my
this fun information. But when cornered and escape seems impossible, or when surprised and frightened, it may even dissolve itself in tears.
Yep.
What?
Mm-hmm. Squonk hunters are most successful on frosty moonlit nights, when tears are shed slowly and the animal dislikes moving about because it's Pennsylvania.
Did you just say squonk hunters?
Yes. There are people like Bigfoot hunters who hunt squonks in Pennsylvania.
You know, squonk hunters.
Well, wouldn't you, like, if you went out to Pennsylvania, would you not
Look for a squonk.
look for a squonk? I mean, it does.
And the beauty of a squonk hunter is, since squonks, in their despair, dissolve. You got a built-in excuse why you didn't catch it. I had it dead to rights.
I had it, but it
dissolved
dissolved into a puddle.
into a puddle.
Oh God!
Yeah, so that's how that's going for them. So anyway,
I mean, honestly, if you just want to sit out in the woods and drink beer, you can say you're squonk hunting.
It's
Come
true.
back and
Squonk
say,
hunting.
Got close.
not close, but it froze
Trail
from
of
its tears.
Oh God!
But anyways, so when tears are shed slowly and the animal dislikes moving about, that's when it's best found. It may then be heard weeping under the boughs of dark hemlock trees. Mr. J.P. Wentling, formerly of Pennsylvania, but now at St. Anthony Park, Minnesota, had a disappointing experience with a squonk.
What a disappointment.
Oh God, this poor thing it had a disappointing encounter with the squonk near Mont Alto. He made a clever capture by mimicking the squonk and inducing it to hop into a sack.
Aw.
They just wanted to get into the sack. It's just like a little round thing, and it's like somebody
People would not see me in
Yeah.
the sack.
Yeah, he's like, maybe somebody will love me if I'm in the sack. No. In which he was carrying it home, and when suddenly the burden lightened and the weeping ceased, Wentling slung the sack, and looked in, and there was nothing but tears and bubbles.
Oh, no. Bubbles?
Bubbles of
The
squonk.
squonk turns into bubbles?
Because it cried into
Cried
a puddle.
into a puddle, and there it was.
Oh, my God.
What kind of sack can you see tears in?
Right? I'm like, maybe it was a trash bag or
Maybe
something.
it was a trash bag.
Yeah, and so it was just a puddle.
Bubbly puddle of squonk juice.
Oh my God, Jay,
You missed so
you
much.
missed a really important part.
Just want to go get a drink
Yes,
to wet my whistle.
you missed an important part.
Okay, what's the important part? Just
A
real
man
fast.
caught a squonk.
Okay,
A man caught what?
okay.
See?
What?
You leave the room
What?
for just a drink, and you miss a man who caught a squonk.
Okay. So, I'll reiterate, Debria, you can cut or do whatever you want to this, but this is basically this man in Mont Alto had what they referred to as a disappointing experience.
Experience with a squonk.
Wow.
And so he got the squonk to jump into a sack. And so
Wow.
yeah, and when he was carrying it over his shoulder, he noticed that the sack got lighter, and so he opened it, and all it was a puddle of tears and bubbles.
Bubbles.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my
Wait,
God.
give his name.
J.P. Wentling.
J.P. Wintling. If you're out there, J.P.
Yes. And so another book wrote about the squonk, and they just referred to, it's called Storytelling and Encyclopedia of Mythology and Folklore, which is a great book if you've ever read that. They just referred to the squonk as slow, and that's it. They just call him slow.
Squonk. Slow.
Yes. And then another book from 1939. This is not a new cryptid.
Oh, no. This is a pretty well-known regional cryptid.
Yes. So a book from 1939 called Fearsome Critters claims that it can only swim around in circles due to the webbing found just and inconveniently for the squonk between the toes of its left foot.
Wow.
It only has webbing
On
1 foot.
1 foot.
And it apparently...
So it swims in circles.
Yes. And
Crying.
Oh my lord!
it's a mess.
It's a mess. it's a freaking mess.
Maybe it's for our self-esteem. It's like, well, at least you're not a squonk.
Right.
Wow.
Although now, what a great insult. You
You're a-
squonk.
You're
Such a squonk.
You're just a squonk.
It sounds like something Shakespeare would come up
Yeah,
with. Like,
yeah, it
you
does.
know, like he loves insults like that. He's like, you ate corn.
You ate
It's
corn,
like,
you wrinkled squonk.
yes, it's like, that sounds like something that he would come up with.
Oh boy.
Become thou bubbles and salt tears. Squonk.
Dissolve into your...
Dissolve.
Goodness gracious.
But yes. So it also in that book refers to the squonk as a creature of distinctly low mentality.
Oh. So it's
So he's dumb, he's
dumb,
ugly.
He's ugly. He cries.
He cries, he's wrinkled, he can't swim.
He's not that dumb. He knows he's unlovable, so he cries.
That's
Goodness
the craziest
gracious.
thing, because when we talk about these cryptids, they often aren't aware of their own
Right.
emotions, or
Yeah.
they all act on instinct.
They're just animalistic and
yeah. Like you think about there's the realm of the cryptids where they are harbingers of, something like, Mothman's coming because destruction's going to
He's
happen.
telling you about something.
But then you have the other cryptids like Bigfoot that's just animalistic, or the Loch Ness monster, just a creature of some sort. This is like has emotions, has thoughts, and they're all
mostly sad
negative.
and negative.
We
need like a squonk support group. is what we
Yeah.
need. It's
Squonk support group.
yeah,
You're beautiful. I mean, not to look at, but inside.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
So to all the people watching the live stream, comment if you want a squonk support group
Squonk support group.
t-shirt made, and I'll make it a
We're all
Parajunkie exclusive.
squonks.
Squonks are beautiful.
now and
Justice
then.
for the squonks.
We've all felt like squonks at one time or another. Don't be a squonk.
Don't be a squonk.
Don't
have
dissolve in your tears.
We have some new people join the live stream actually, and they have no idea what's going on.
Oh yeah. So those of you who are just joining us on the live stream, welcome.
It's all good.
We're doing
Let's just keep going.
Yeah, we're doing it from One to Wicked on the squonk. If you don't know what the squonk is, you'll find out.
Google it.
Google it. You'll know. You'll learn real
It's
quick.
surprisingly entertaining.
It is,
Oh my gosh.
which is why I brought it to the table here.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
It's like if you skinned Eeyore.
oh my God, Jay. Oh God. What was the? So
Just
we
that imagery is no boo.
yes. What was the hashtag we came up with in that first episode? Ghost whatever.
Ghost lighting.
Ghostlighting. And now
Ghostlighting?
hashtag skinned Eeyore.
Ugh.
Skinned Eeyore.
Oh God.
I think just hashtag squonk.
Hashtag
Hashtag
squonk.
squonk.
Hashtag squonk. From here on out, whenever you feel any type of self-consciousness, hashtag squonk.
Yes.
If you're self-deprecating, hashtag squonk.
Or just picture yourself as that creature and you're like, wait, but I'm not that creature. So
That's
I'm
right.
clearly
better off than
Yes.
a squonk.
yes. And so anywho, but what it really hates, we're gonna go down the line, I guess,
Oh my
of
gosh.
the squonk insecurities. But what it really hates is its misfitting skin, which is covered with warts and moles. And then they just simply say the squonk is ugly. And so
Well, if you keep telling it it's ugly, it's going to believe it's ugly.
it knows it's ugly. It doesn't need to be told that it's ugly. But
Did
yes,
you not read The Ugly Duckling? Grows
No.
into a swan. Of course, the
squonk-
squonk turns into a puddle of
Of
bubbles.
tears and bubbles.
tears.
it grows into nothing but puddle.
Puddle.
But yes,
One day you'll be a beautiful puddle.
salty tears.
Salty tears and bubbles.
But yes, so the author of Fearsome Critters, Henry H. Tyron, said it is probably the homeliest animal in the world and knows it.
And knows it.
And knows it.
Yes, unfortunately for all its alleged dullness, the squonk appears to be painfully aware of just how repulsive it is. article written on the squonk is just so, they take one of these rapiers and just go,
Well, see,
squonk, squonk.
I feel like that's what you do. When you talk about a squonk, you just hate on it.
Even the name, though. Can we
Squonk,
discuss
squonk,
the name? Like, how did that happen?
That's the sound it makes.
Squonk, squonk,
Oh, that's how you know
That's
it's
like
that's how you
crying.
know it's it even cries. Wait, hold on. Hold on. It even cries ugly. It even cries ugly.
Yes, of course.
Oh my god.
Oh wow.
This may be my favorite from One to Wicked ever.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I love it.
Oh my god. We have so many comments.
Let's hear 'em. Bring 'em.
Arcadia says, hold on. He's the OG sad boy.
He is.
Yes. Let's see. Harry Jane said, imagine being tracked by your tears.
And it's
And
kind of tragic.
It is.
and squonk juice.
Squonk juice.
Squonk juice.
That's so gross.
Blah.
That is the grossest thing that you could call it. It's not a squonk puddle. It's a squonk juice.
Oh my gosh.
You squeeze the squonk, you get squonk juice.
Whitney Elaine says that she definitely wants a squonk shirt.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm glad you're on
Honestly,
board.
I've seen squonk plushies, stuffed animals.
I need one to sit right with me and be my emotional support squonk.
Oh my gosh. And Alex said for the design of the squonk shirt, we should do the OG emo squonk that needs the hair and My Chemical Romance.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. I have some work ahead of me, y'all.
Yeah, the squonk.
Photoshop, do your worst.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, the skunk's just gonna be
Squonks.
over here like, it's not a phase.
It's not a face.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle to be this sad.
Squonk for life.
So emo.
And he has to sing Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what has to happen. So
Yes.
that's the preferred squonk is emo squonk.
Cute without the E.
Oh,
Let's do it.
yes. Emo squonk shirts. That's
Emo
what
squonk shirt.
I
Emo
rec-
squonk.
It's coming. It's
I-
coming, y'all.
I request it as a emo. I would love that. So anyways, in fact, it's so painfully aware of its looks that another author named Cox claims the poor thing is given to constant weeping over his really upsetting appearance and can sometimes be tracked solely from its tear stains. You don't even have to hear it, and people know
Wow.
exactly what it is.
Wow.
And the scientific name for the squonk
Wait,
is...
it has a it has a scientific name?
Yes.
Shut up.
Yes. So the scientific name is Lacrimocorpus dissolvens, meaning body dissolves into tears. That is its scientific name.
I am so disappointed in science right now. There's no way.
You know, some zoologist out there was just having a great time with the squonk. And so,
Squonk.
so the Crimus corpus dissolvens.
Dissolvents.
Wow.
It's why squonks are more easily captured when the moon is up, too. According to Tyron, apart from that tear-stained trail, they tend to lie still in their dens on clear nights for fear of traveling outside and capturing a glimpse of themselves in a moonlit pool.
They're afraid of seeing their own reflection.
Yes.
Wow.
So they're easy to capture.
Anti-narcissist.
Yeah.
The exact opposite of a narcissist. You're absolutely right. So if you're going squonk hunting, clearly the way to go about this is you want to look for the tear stained trail. You want to hear the squonk, squonk, and look for caves because they're gonna lay there in their own
They're just going to be
tears.
still.
Yeah.
Squonk.
Skunk.
Oh my Lord.
Because they don't want to see how ugly they are in the water. Anyways, so pretty easy. It makes sense why they're easy to capture and why it's so easily hopped into the sack.
But apparently, the moment you capture it, it'll dissolve into
Yeah.
a puddle.
Because it tells itself, I'm not worthy of being captured.
You don't want me.
You don't want me. Anyways.
Y'all are great squonks.
Yeah.
We've all felt like squonks once or in our lives.
Chris, you should write another children's book
Oh,
about the squonk, and we'll do an audio book about
We'll do it.
Done.
Yeah, and we'll
Done.
play the
Done.
squonks.
Done.
Nice. All
Yes.
right.
Okay. Anyways, Chris is going to become a full-time children's author now. You've already written one. So,
Yes.
I mean,
Actually written 3.
Okay, well, you're
But
full-time
just
now.
recently I wrote 1.
Yes. So, believe it or not, despite its bodily shortcomings and tear trail, squonks are notoriously difficult to claim as hunting prizes because they melt.
Because they melt.
Yeah. Multiple accounts from fearsome creatures to myth, another book called American Myths, Legends, and Tall Tales, an Encyclopedia of American Folklore, tell of how individuals who successfully captured the squonk check their sacks later on to find that the creature has cried so hard it blubbered itself into a puddle. It happens every time. So it's like you just come back with a sack of squonk juice.
But they don't have like photos. They can't take a photo of the squonk.
I mean, ask the squonk hunters.
Squonk hunters.
Yeah, sounds
Squonk hunters.
They just come back
sounds
with
very
squonk juice.
Icelandic to me.
They come back with squonk
It
juice.
breaks your camera. It's
Because
ugly.
it's so ugly.
So ugly it breaks your camera.
I love that.
You're not kidding.
I love that. Poor
Just,
thing.
classic ugly behavior. Breaks glass, breaks...
So this squonk actually is entrenched in American folklore history because even the great American legend Paul Bunyan had a run-in with a
I
squonk.
think that was my first introduction to the squonk.
Yes.
Wow.
Paul Bunyan.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
In the story from 1926, again, squonks have been around for a long time. It's not just a recent thing. Paul Bunyan and his great blue ox, and Paul and his men are stalled in cutting timber when one hears a strange wailing coming from some distance away. The more the man mimics and the wailing, the closer the strange sound gets, until eventually he's able to apprehend an unsuspecting squonk in a bag. He rarely did it. So rarely did it ever get near men that the logger who had caught the squonk was so greatly elated and called his friends to the bunkhouse to see the strange creature. And when he put it on view, it reads, Paul Bunyan, alas, the logger's elation was only momentary as the squonk did what it does best and dissolved in distress into nothing but some salt water and bubbles in front of Paul Bunyan. How embarrassing.
Wow.
Like, literally so embarrassing, being like, I found this great ugly creature. Look at it. Look upon its ugliness.
I caught a squonk. That ain't no squonk. That's just bubbles.
And Paul Bunyan comes over and he's like, dude, it's just salt water and bubbles. And he's like, no. It was an ugly pig. It was here. It was.
You don't get it. It was wrinkly with warts and moles and
cried.
crying.
Anyway, so going through all these accounts, it's hard to feel bad and not to feel bad for squonks who really seem to have gotten the short end of the stick, if you will.
The ugly stick.
Yes. But before you start crying yourself, cheer up. Modern pop culture has given the squonk somewhat of a makeover because American rock band Steely Dan references the squonk in their song "Any Major Dude Will Tell You." A major band talks about the squonk.
And that's a popular song.
Wow.
Yes. With the lyrics, have you ever seen a squonk's tears?
Oh my God. I never put that together.
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Well, look at mine. People on the street have all seen better times. Ditto for the English group Genesis, who named a single from A Trick of the Tail. 1976, after it, the crying cryptid has even been made into a Final Fantasy character. So these references, as American Myths points out, have elevated the squonk from a pathetic being to an icon of awkward isolation and loneliness.
There you go.
Regardless if you're wandering around in the woods and run into a squonk yourself, be sure to tell him how handsome he is.
No.
So now we need a t-shirt that's a squonk that just says same squonk.
Same.
Same.
Yeah.
Same squonk. Same.
So yeah, like the squonk is so beloved for its patheticness, and so even rock stars want to talk about it. But honestly, I can understand why they would include that in music because it's like
we made the emo reference
squonk.
already. We already suggested that. Yeah, it's we've all felt low, and here is the mascot of feeling low.
Yeah, if you're depressed, just know you're not a squonk.
You're not a squonk.
And hopefully that'll
Your tears
bring.
will not dissolve you to bubbles.
They will not dissolve you into bubbles, and you know what? That's okay.
You're stronger. You're stronger than the squonk.
Yes.
So why does it stay in Pennsylvania? That's what I want to know. Like
It likes the hemlocks, and it doesn't travel far. It's slow.
Oh,
It's
You
so,
saw it. It is
Yeah.
not an athletic beast.
Yeah.
It's not running through the wilderness. It's like it doesn't even come out of its cave if the moon is out. So
wow.
Yeah, so they don't travel. So it's just a very isolated critter.
right.
And now I need to go into the hemlocks of Pennsylvania so I can find
You
me a
want to find the squonk? don't you?
Yes.
Let's go squonk hunting.
Yeah. Let's go
We want to go
squonking.
squonk hunt?
Yes.
Squonking?
Squonking.
Yes.
I like it. Squonking.
All right.
Well, we need waterproof bags.
Yes, waterproof
What do,
bags.
what do y'all think about if we can make it let's say 200 Parajunkies in the next couple months? We'll go squonk hunting.
We'll go squonking, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go squonking.
I mean, we can build squonking into a larger para trip.
Yeah.
We can go to because Pennsylvania's full of haunted.
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely. With all the railroad systems up there and all that stuff, there is so much that you can
Yeah,
talk
and
about
then
with Pennsylvania.
the main haunted place, like in the United States, is there, Gettysburg.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Gettysburg. It is a tormenting place to go. It is.
Really?
Yeah, oh my God. It's just the energy just sucks you down. Like it really does.
Yeah, I can only imagine
the level
someone
of
like you going.
aggravated death there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The pure agitation of it, because one thing that's happening in Gettysburg that you don't get in a lot of places where vast tragedy occurs, and I mean you get this in battlefields, is that you are dealing with not just the spirits of the dead, the people who died. I should put it this way. You're not just getting spirits of people who died, you're getting spirits who killed. Mm-hmm. So they were killing and dying simultaneously.
And no one wants to do that.
And,
99.9% of people don't want to.
The construct of humanity is being ripped asunder right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People are in the act of brutality and in the worst act available to humankind.
Yeah.
On such a scale. So, like, if you go to any battlefield, you'll get that. But something about Gettysburg, and I think it's because it was also not it was within the confines of towns and villages.
Right.
And, it's so close to a vibrancy of life.
It's also because there's such a separation of. It was at a time where there's such division
Right.
in the main U.S. states and things like that. So it's, you can feel that. You can feel that tension, that hatred for somebody who should be united with you. You can feel it. And also it's the fact that Gettysburg as well does a really good job of making it feel like what it was like.
Right.
When
they preserved it so well.
Yeah.
So.
And that's going to amp up it's kind of the same gist as like when you come to Savannah. We do a good job preserving as much as we can to feel like what it was like in the 1800s, 1700s, wherever it is. And so when you go to Gettysburg, they do the same thing, and that's going to amp up your paranormal activity because it's familiar for these spirits. There's not like a bunch of new stuff around them that they don't understand. It still somewhat looks like what they experienced in their lifetime, so they're going to be a little bit more rambunctious, if you will. But yeah, I would love to go back to Gettysburg, even though it's like when you go there.
Yeah.
It's it would be cool to investigate and so and go squonking.
Squonk.
Squonk, squonk.
Oh yeah. Well, Patreon took the goals out of Patreon. So we had a goal that if we reached 1,000 Parajunkies, we let them choose whether we go to Gettysburg, whether we go to the Paris
Catacombs
or Aokigahara, and yeah,
wanna go
but
to
that still
Aokigahara.
stands. I think that still stands. So.
Yeah,
You know.
I would love to go to Aokigahara and do it right, and like certain YouTubers who did it not right.
Yeah.
I would love to see it and experience it.
Yep.
See if it's any kind of similar vibe to what it was like with like Morgan's Corner and all that. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. But anyways, so yeah, squonkies.
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 I
One to wicket on the squonk?
I know we have to go. We
wicket?
have to come up with it.
okay. I'm going to give it a 0.1 1.
Yeah, me too. It's
below 1.
Below 1. There is no
0.1?
There's no
Yeah.
wickedness
There's no wickedness
at all. It
except
has
for
no
its
ill will.
self-hatred.
It has no there is no damage to anyone but itself. And self-harm is where that 0.1 comes from.
Yeah.
Wow.
Boo.
Boo.
I'm going to give it what it is, a 0.
A 0.
There you go. There you go.
A 0, loser.
See, even
in this,
us.
we're
Yeah.
just like denigrating the squonk.
The
It's
squonk
like-
is watching this on YouTube and it's like, yeah, it's like, I finally get talked about and now they hate me too. I'm just not.
We don't hate you, Squonk. We just don't think you're wicked.
You're not wicked.
Yeah.
If you gored somebody,
Yeah.
it's like,
Get out there and kill some people.
yeah.
No, that was wrong. That's
Could you imagine a squonk having like sharp tusks or something and just like charging at people, blubbering while it's like, I don't want to do this and I have to do this to raise my wickedness score.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll end it out with Arcadia Eklund's comment. Squonk would be a good name for a hairless cat.
It would.
Squonk.
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 Squonk, squonk, squonk.
Actually, a pit bull.
That would be a good
Squonk.
Oh,
squonk as
squonk.
well.
Squonk.
That
Yeah.
would be.
Squonk.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I'm going to call Chris's foster pit bull Squonk from now on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Squonk.
She's no longer sorry.
She makes that kind of sound.
She does. Yeah. See, I've been calling her Manila Folder for a long time now, but now she is
coloring.
Squonk.
Squonk's a good name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Can I ask actually for the live stream, what is y'all's rating of the Squonk?
Let's see.
anyone-
Let's
Sign
see.
off in the comments real quick before we close it out. I just want to hear.
There's a little bit of a delay,
Yeah.
so
Of
I
course.
can catch like nasty comments.
Yes.
So,
yes.
yeah.
Understood. Well, yes, as we're waiting, yes, if you want to send in ghost mail or questions or ideas for other cryptids or entities you would like us to rate from 1 to Wicked, send it to ghostmail@hauntedcitypodcast.com. TikTok crushed me and took away my Q&A button. So now I have to decipher through a bunch of emails and things like that, which is fine. I enjoy hearing from you guys. So if you want to send in a question, just make sure you put in the subject question, or if it's ghost mail, put ghost mail so that I know which one it is. Or if it's a suggestion, put suggestion,
All right, we got Whitney Elaine saying a 1.
A 1? Okay.
A 1. Harry Jane saying a 1.
Okay.
And
Y'all are being nice.
yeah,
They feel bad.
They feel bad.
they feel bad. They're like, no,
It's a
it's
little wicked. It's a little
it's a little
wicked.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. You
Call
know?
it what it is.
Yes, it's true. But there's a bunch more people. Okay, 1, 0. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so the consensus is the
It's not wicked.
Parajunkies and listeners are much nicer than we are. Chris and I are like, you're a disgrace. You are nothingness. And so, but with that, though, thank you guys again. I hope you enjoyed
Yes.
squonking with us.
Oh no, there's a squonk
A squonk plush?
plush.
Ah!
Oh, that's way too cute.
It's
That's
too
way too
cute.
cute. A
It looks like a
squonk
pit bull with
plush?
Shrek ears.
Oh, you. What is that?
It looks like a pit bull with Shrek ears.
Oh, get it from the side.
Okay, but I do want an emotional support squonk for the show now. Make that happen.
Oh no, it's so cute.
All right,
Yes.
y'all.
Make that happen for me, Jay. I want emotional support squonk. Thank
I'll
you.
get you an emotional support squonk.
Thank you. Okay. Anyways, so thank you guys again. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and